two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. I'm your host, 30 and Still Gaming, and joining me each and every single week is Sgt McClusky. What's going on, bro? Excited. Excited. Another week. Close your eyes. Wake up. Done. Thursday.
It's actually kind of scary, I'll be honest. Right? Because, we stop talking and go into the weekend, and I do a Sunday thing, and then it's like a Monday, Tuesday ritual thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's days off, and then here you are. It's like
That's it.
It's weird. It's weird how fast it goes.
Imagine if we did this daily. Months would go by like days.
If we did this daily, I would probably age uncontrollably.
like literally, months would go by like days.
Oh, you guys have seen this shirt before. You guys, this is not a new one.
Which one? I paused my game to be here. That one.
Yeah, you guys have seen this one.
Yeah, I don't wear a lot of shirts with things on it. Or blank shirts. I'm in that midlife crisis dad area where I don't want to sponsor anybody on my t-shirt. You know?
Who am I sponsoring?
No, I'm just saying.
The phrase.
I'm not in the collared golfer shirt style. You know what I mean? I'm not in the wife beater style. I'm just kind of just in the mid-tier unmarked t-shirt.
Who's Botrix?
Botrix is a bot. Is an actual bot. It's a bot.
Why is he always late? Why is he always?
I don't know why he's always late. You know. Maybe that's why Botrix is programmed to be late.
I think he comes in for the first 30 seconds just to see if I say the F word or not, and then he reports back to Mama YouTube.
Maybe. What's going on, chat? Well, it's not always blank shirt. Like I'll wear shirts like I have the Tasmanian Devil. It says meh. You'll see me wear a Goonie shirt. I'll wear some shirts that I got from studios that I worked for and stuff like that. Other than that, I don't really wear. I should wear I should buy some of my own merch and wear it on stream. I should.
Think?
Yeah, but
then of course then I have to buy one.
Yeah, and then we're shilling. We don't want to shill.
I mean, do I actually have to buy the stuff
we're not sell? We're too good.
I mean, I can look at this two ways.
We are too good.
Do I think that you guys Do I think you guys are nice enough to buy a shirt to support 30? Or do I think that you're dumb enough that I have to actually buy the shirt to make you believe the shirt is worth buying? Because cotton is still cotton. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's still just cotton. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm thematically wearing a red to match the background and stuff like that. See what I'm doing?
I like to go with the fact that I don't think anyone in chat is stupid. I like to think that if you want to support somebody, you would, and I don't have to shill to you to get you to buy something.
Yeah, no, chat's not stupid. The people that are not here are stupid, right? You're not stupid, chat.
There's a lot of people that aren't here. You're going to call them stupid? They may watch the show.
Well, if they do, they're not stupid. You see how it works? If you're not watching the show, you're stupid.
If you are to the show now, they heard that they're stupid.
No, they can't hear if they're not here. So if they're not here, they're stupid. If they're here, I'm stupid. See how that works? Perfect. All right, chat. On today's show, we got lots of stuff to talk about. We don't even know if we're going to get to it all. I always want to get minimum I want to do 4 stories, right? But there's so many stupid stories and so many conversations and so many rants that we can go on in this podcast. And I got 40 tabs open. There's 40 tabs. So we have stories of Battlefield might be doing open world. We got Take-Two, talking about Game Pass. We got Take-Two, or I'm sorry, we got Microsoft putting job listings up for the next Xbox type of stuff. We got Cartoon Network, entire website being shut down. We got Ubisoft being accused of using bots for hype-upping Star Wars, right? We got We got massive cloud storage data coming in from Microsoft Flight Sim. We got Tango Gameworks, who closed studios and yet got purchased. Makes no sense. We're going to talk about this as well with Sarge. We're talking about we're going to talk about Terminator Survivor being canceled or not canceled, pushed back, delayed. We're going to talk about Overwatch and Marvel Rivals 2. We're going to talk about should Sega rejoin the console wars. Okay, we're going to talk about how has gaming influenced your life. We're going to talk about that. Right, we're going to talk about the Cybertruck in Fortnite. Okay, we talked about that earlier in the week. We're going to talk about the Verge and how if you don't press OK and you just back out, you can just say anything you want. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Borderlands. We talked about it last week. We said it was going to bomb at the box office, and congratulations, it bombed at the box office. Way lower.
Bomb thing right now? You're not clapping, right? You're using a bomb.
No, I'm clapping. Noise. I'm clapping because we're clapping that we were correct. Okay, it bombed at the box office. Sarge said 18 million, and he wins, but loses because he went over. It's an actual retail price.
I went for
you went
I
low.
Went for the gusto. Yeah, I went for the gusto.
You went low, and you still overshot. You still overshot. Yeah. So we got lots of stuff. Oh, and we're talking about Disney. There's a story about Disney, and this is insane, and we're going to talk about it. It's about how someone, basically, they can't sue because they signed up for Disney Plus. So we'll talk about this all this week's show of Generation X Gaming, episode 406. If you like what we do here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. And you can listen to us or watch us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm, anywhere else a podcast is listened to. Put it in your ear holes. Do it while you're riding a bike, while you're in the car, in traffic, hating your job at work. Put us in. We have 405 other episodes that you can listen to and enjoy. So check those out. Let's start off with what we've been playing. All right, Sarge. Another week down. We know what we played. Shooting the shit with Sarge last night. We played Borderlands 2, but did you play anything else before that?
What did you play?
But did you see it?
Did you?
But did you play it?
Did you play?
But did you play
it? Well, see, my issue is that I only have X number of hours per week for gaming, and it's almost like scheduled game time as it more is to like filling in the hours of something I want to play. So you all know I play Hell Let Loose, not competitively, but with a clan. So that takes up 2 days. That's usually Sundays and Wednesdays during the day. But I did play a little bit more, and not enough. I played a little bit more Baldur's Gate 3. But then I always get the phone call in my head that says, hey, you should really keep playing Cyberpunk. You're doing decent there. So I go back to Cyberpunk. So I'm bouncing between Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate. And then I needed a palate cleanser because my brain was scrambled for the week because of all the stories I was looking at. And after the Disney story, my brain got scrambled and I had to play Minecraft. And I was listening to classical music. If you can understand my mental state.
Hey, I do that.
I'm playing Minecraft and I'm listening to classical music in a headset. And I'm trying to zone out. And I'm just trying to say, I want to help these villagers. I want to help them. They keep getting attacked by zombies and they keep getting destroyed, and I just want to help them. And so I think that I could do better in the world if I help the villagers in Minecraft. It'll make me a better person. You
play Minecraft like you're playing what was that show? Move That Bus where they change like someone's house and
I don't. Well, see, I felt I don't know if you know this about me, but there's certain video games I get like a secondary emotional attachment to shit that doesn't have anything to do with me, right? So like if I find a village in Minecraft because I'm exploring and I go, ooh, cool, a village. And then of course I steal from them because I look at all their chests and see what they have to help me, which is stealing from them, right? But then I'm there too long, and inevitably a monster spawn happens.
Nighttime happens. They raid the village. Yeah,
they raid. So then almost all of them die, and there's like 3 guys left, and then I feel obligated. I'm like, well, I don't want.
I should have built a fence. Right, I should have built a fence.
I don't want them to die because of me, because I came visit it and I stole your shit. So then what I end up doing is is I make sure they have a potato garden at least, right? And I make sure that they feed themselves till they reproduce. So what I end up doing is I'll walk around, I'll slaughter some sheep, I build extra beds, I make sure there's a potato farm, and then I spend like maybe an hour cutting down every tree. I clear cut the forest, and I build a fence around the town. And I go, okay, you guys are safe now, and I move on. Like I leave, like I steal from them, and then I help them, and then I leave. It's like
Robin Hood in Minecraft.
Yeah, a little bit, right? But it just, I don't know. I feel better, like something of a sense of accomplishment, right? But I will say this.
Ty Pennington, that's the guy I'm thinking of. That's the guy I'm thinking of.
I will say this. I think if I was rating the week on happiness, the greatest happiness happened.
You were pretty happy.
Last night at 8 p.m. when we started playing Borderlands 2. Now, the reason why I said to you I wanted to play Borderlands 2 is because the negativity around the movie is so insane. And it's such a trash fire.
Yeah.
And I love that series so much.
Yeah, you were like,
I needed to erase some of the negativity and just remember what it was like to have fun with the IP, right?
Yeah.
And so we had a couple guys come in with us. First came in, and then Aku
Kylo
came in, and then
Aku.
Kylo came in at the end.
Yeah.
And we're just having a good time. Like, we're just fucking around talking and remembering the game. Now, I think two things, the variables happen to coincide. One is that enough time has passed after Borderlands 2 where you forget some stuff, and there's a lot of crappy games in the Borderlands series that came out, so you remember the good one.
Right.
The movie being such a trash fire, you're trying to help erase that one. That's part of it. And number three, just the fact that we were playing a multiplayer game, looter shooter, and it worked without any kind of problems
it was a complete game.
Sync issues or syncing issues or whatever. Yeah.
You play co-op. Good time.
Yes.
They did the HD graphic update for it.
The HD graphic, I was impressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no fuzzies. Nothing's fuzzy. Nothing's like 3 beers in. The whole game is crystal clear. And I'm like, wow, the FX thing actually works.
Well, I always think it's funny because each game in the series, it doesn't matter if you're playing Tiny Tina, Wonderland, doesn't matter if you're playing Borderlands 3, Borderlands 2, Borderlands 1, prequels, all the numbers on Steam are up. Not like gigantic, but
engagement.
But it's up, and they're running sales right now. You could literally pick up, right? I shit you not. Okay, I told you this. They did a sale. $150 is for everything, right? They were selling it to me for $30 for 6 games.
All of it.
Borderlands, Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, all the DLCs. Borderlands 3,
pre-sequel.
All the DLCs, the pre-sequel, all the DLCs, the Telltale games, the 2 Telltale games. And I was just like, Jesus, they really want me to get that. And then when you go back into Borderlands 2, they're advertising to sell the whole thing, right?
Yeah, weird.
So, well, no, that's not weird. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell, and it works. It doesn't matter. Look, if the show, or I'm sorry, if the movie was fantastic, numbers would be through the roof. It would be like a Fallout. What happened to Fallout? Because the game or the movie is shitty, okay,
but it still
gets people to come back and go, you know what? I really that's bad, but I want to go back and play. Yes, I want to go back and play it.
Right? It still causes engagement. So, how bad was the movie really, bro?
The movie was
no. How bad was the movie if you get this many people to engage with the IP again? How bad is the movie?
They felt so bad for the movie. They're like, I want a good memory of Borderlands. I'm going to go back and play Borderlands 2 so to clean the palette out of my memory of this movie.
Right, but it causes people to go and play the IP again. It's weird. I won't say it's strange, but it's just kind of this thing where you reinforce somebody's memory about something and like, oh yeah, I remember that game. Let's see if anybody wants to play it because of a shitty movie.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about the movie when we get to the movie. So I don't want to blend over to the next thing. So yeah, I look, I wasn't excited to play Borderlands 2. You said, "Hey, do you want to play Borderlands 2?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll play it." Like I wasn't like depressed about playing it. I wasn't excited like you were. You were excited. You could hear it in your voice last night when we were playing. But as we started playing with First and Aku and Kylo, I was like, "You know what? This is a good fucking game. I'm glad we're playing. I'm glad we're playing with people and playing through the game. It's just fun, right? It's just a fun time." And and it makes me depressed and sad that we have to play a game that's 13 years old, right? 12, 13 years old to just get that memory of that instead of playing the game. Like Space Marines 2 is coming out, right? And I'm excited for the game, but there's talks about the multiplayer maybe not working, and it might work. But at this time, I'm like, I don't really need a new game. I have plenty of games that I'm enjoying. Like you and me, if we play every Wednesday for Borderlands 2, we could play for the next like 6 weeks just on Wednesdays with Borderlands 2. And that's just probably the regular game, not even going into the DLCs or anything like that. So there's so many things that I don't need to keep up with the Joneses, not Robert Jones, but I don't have to keep up with everyone to try to be. I don't review games, right? I'm just talk about video games. I could keep up with the news and whatnot. It's sad that I'm not like super excited about every game. And I love that when there's people in chat that in my community, when a new game comes out, they're like, dude, I'm getting this. I don't have that excitement for any game anymore. And
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't have that excitement anymore. I'm a bitter old man.
It's not bitter.
Yeah.
It's not bitter. If I kept selling you something that was half-ass and asking you for full price for 5 years, and then told you every time I stole your money, oh, I'm sorry, it won't happen again, and then do it again. Oh, I'm sorry, it won't happen again, and do it again. Like, what? How do you think your mental state's going to be after 5 years of that shit?
Right.
You're not bitter.
Dave Langer says, Light No Fire. Here's the thing with Light No Fire, Dave. I think what Sean Murray and Hello Games have done with No Man's Sky is something that we'll never see ever again by any other company. Come back from what they did to what they're doing now, a completely separate game. But in the back of my mind is they got all the goodwill back. But if Light No Fire comes out and then it's broke, buggy, or unfinished in any way, shape, or form, I'm gonna be like, see, I shouldn't have gave hope up, right? Shouldn't have gave them all the goodwill back. So I'm cautious. I keep my expectations. So if they can prove that the game comes out and it doesn't have the problems like when No Man's Sky came out, then hell, I'll jump in. If Space Marines 2 comes out and co-op works day one, no hiccups, no nothing, I'll really think hard about paying for it. If not, I'll just wait. I'll wait for it to go on sale. There's plenty of games to play. Yeah. Neutralizer says, come on, 30. We know you're excited for the Shire Farm Sim game. Oh, yeah. Lord of the Rings, Tales of the Shire. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what really gets me going. Is there any other games you're playing? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, how many games do you think I can fit into the week?
I don't know. Maybe you played something else.
Oh, I did.
Oh, see? No, you're not allowed, Sarge. You said, how many games are you supposed to play?
I did. You mentioned it. And then I went and downloaded it because I just wanted to take a peek. Right, so I downloaded the Mafia Definitive whatever Death Collection.
That's another thing. I have never played the Mafia.
Right,
all the games. I played the first one.
So, well, here's what I'll tell you, and I'm going to say this for the last couple games that I've played, and I know maybe some people don't understand what I'm about to say, but if you've played games long enough, you'll get it. So when I was playing Mafia, I haven't played it. So the way the game is structured, the first one, I'm playing the first one.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I played the first one.
It's basically being told like a flashback movie. Like the guy's talking to a cop. He's telling the cop how he can help him put a bunch of people away because he's ready to turn sides. And then he goes back and tells the story about what it was before he joined the mob.
Right.
Right. And so the flashback is you actually playing the game now.
Spoiler
but it's a
alert,
series.
Sarge.
But it's a series of missions. Right. The eyes tell everything, right?
All right. Uh-oh. Are you everything you just said for the last like minute and a half?
Let me guess. No one heard me.
Nobody heard you. You froze. You froze on the screen. No one heard me.
Yes.
Like just sound went completely.
Yes.
The Mafia came in and they literally silenced us because they didn't want us to talk about Mafia Definitive Edition.
So nobody heard anything.
Nothing.
Nobody heard nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So what part did you guys hear me start from?
From the beginning, you said, I played Mafia 1. This is what you said. You said, after he told the story, it goes from that position, and then that was it. That's all we heard.
Well, they are on me like white on rice, kid. I'm not talk about anything. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna start again. Right, playing Mafia Definitive Collection from Game Pass.
Yep.
Playing the first game.
Yep.
It's done as a movie, right? Where the guy is sitting with a cop at a coffee shop and he's talking to the cop and saying, if you want to put these guys away, I can help you. He's in the mob. He's getting ready to change sides. And the cop's like on the take and a drunk. And I don't even know why he's talking to him. Like, this guy's fucked up, right? But the flashback is the beginning of the game. Like, you're playing the game of the guy's flashback of what happened to him prior to him joining the mob, right? The story is told very well. Right, the gameplay's fun, but it's not like Grand Theft Auto. You're not like running around everywhere doing yeehaw stuff. You're structured. You're doing missions,
right,
like one after the other. Story game, right? I thought it was interesting, but as I was watching the game and I was watching the cutscenes, I realized that not only does this game do it, but other games that have come out have taken advantage of this, and it brings more immersion to a game like this. And it's the part where, like, games like Cyberpunk and Mafia and a couple other games do this for the cutscenes. Not so much like a Witcher, because I think they weren't concentrating on that then, but they do it now. Is that animators have finally figured out that when you tell stories in a video game, the eyes tell everything. Like the way the words are for the script for the writer, how the eyes are moving around or looking at the person, like that draws me in more than anything. Like, and I'm watching this fucking old ass game in the cutscene, and I'm watching, I'm like, I feel like I'm in. I feel like I'm watching like a movie. Like the eyes do it for me. Like the eyes tell the story. Like when I was playing Cyberpunk, the same thing. When I'm on the date with Pan Am and doing the missions with Pan Am, and she's talking, interacting, the eyes tell everything. Like the writers have the words correctly, but the eye movements along with the words show me. It's weird. Like either I'm in a video game, or for just one minute second, like this is real. I can see that's an actual conversation. That's actually how she would look at me. That's actually how someone would respond to you if you said these things. Like the eyes movement is everything, right? And I thought about it. I'm like, man, they brought back an old ass game and this is redone. And I said, and they redid the eye animations. And I'm like, and that's a lot, man. I know it sounds stupid.
No,
like for an immersion for a game to be like, for you to be in the moment with the person. Like the eyes tell everything.
I think I'm done playing Midnight Suns. I'm gonna play the Star Wars Outlaws game because I'm paying $18 for the month for that, and I have to get that done as fast as possible. And then after I'm done with Outlaws, I think I'm gonna play some Mafia Definitive Edition because I haven't played that game.
I can't speak for the whole game, man. I'm just fucking around with it. Like I paid maybe like 3 hours. I'm just fucking around, but the cutscenes tell a good story. Like the first thing I thought was, I'm gonna run around and open up my own speakeasy and start running around shooting people. I'm like, I'm on a rail.
That's the other game, Gangsters.
Not a rail, but you know,
if you want business operations, you have to get Gangsters. Remember Gangsters? That's that strategy game.
Well, there's another game I thought that
Mobsters.
That.
It was
Mobsters.
It was Mobsters and Gangsters. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think there's another one.
It's called the Mob. I think it's called
turn-based.
That's
but there's a couple where like you run a speakeasy or you run a casino and you have turf wars and that kind of thing. Like I'll say this: the reason why for me, and I'm speaking for everybody, but the reason why for me GTA was always such an awesome game to play for me is because of being the criminal fantasy, right?
Hold on one second. Travis is going off the rails here. I didn't say I'm giving up on Midnight Suns in no way, shape, or form. I said when I'm done with Midnight Suns,
he's crazy. He's losing it.
I'm going to go play Outlaws, and then I'm going to play Mafia. Is what I said in English. Sorry, Sarge. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Travis likes to derail the conversation. That's what he does. We should probably give him like a 3 hand grenade limit, though. Like we need to make an emote with a hand grenade, and he gets to use it. And then after 3 grenades, he gets a timeout. It's fine. We get him a 3 hand grenade rule. But those type of games, like the criminal fantasy, right? But then like they didn't let me do enough. Like I'm stealing cars. I get it. It's GTA. I got the car list. It's gone in 60 seconds. I got it. Right? Let's do this. Right? But then it's like, well, how come I can't make my own crack house? and how come I can't make my own like
Right.
drug company? And
Right.
how come I, and so I want to do more and more criminal stuff. And like GTA allowed that.
But I think that's good though in a game where you wanted to do more because it's so immersive that you want to do more in that game.
Yeah, but I want to do criminal shit, but not go to jail like in real life. So like, let me live the fantasy of the.
I get you. Yeah.
Right. That's the whole point. Right. The whole point of video games is fantasy. Right. I'm a space warrior. I'm a fantasy mage or whatever. I'm a crack dealer and running a town, but I'm a mob boss. Like, it's all fantasy stuff. You're not actually taking notes from the video game and going, well, just found my new career, and go out and start trying to do the real shit from the video game. Like, okay, I got to get this guy who can deal, this guy who can drive a truck. Like, and I'm doing like the actual mission in my head for real with pen and paper on my spreadsheet on my phone. All right, if I got to get 3 more people, I could rob that bank.
Right.
You're going down, Bank of America. Like, we're not doing that. Like, we're not doing that. It's a fantasy. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so the only game I played, besides Borderlands 2 with you, is more Midnight Suns. There was one loop I played the other night. It was, I think it was Tuesday night. I got to this moment in the game where I was using Iron Man. I was using Iron Man, Wolverine, and the Hunter. The Hunter's the main character that I play. And I was getting abused because there's 2 parts. There's a section where you have to hack into the system. You hack in the system, then it moves on to this boss fight. And I wasn't getting the cards. There was no cards, so there's heroic points to use. And all the cards I had, Sarge, were heroic points, so I couldn't play any cards. I only get to play 3 cards, but I can't play any of the cards. So I had to keep redoing it and trying to go through it. And I almost beat her the very first run, but then I got killed, and then the second run, and the third run, and the 4th run, and the 10th run, and the 12th run, I was like, I can't do it. So I had to stop playing that and go build up my deck of cards a little bit better. So I hit like a cap with at least the 3 I was using. So apparently, I was just getting a shit roll, just random card deck, for that round. It would just not give me, because I have plenty of cards that don't use the heroic points. But for that second round, all it was using was the heroic points. Go ahead.
So is it like building a magic deck? You can only build so many cards in a deck, and you want to have like the good cards that jive with each other for each character?
Yeah, so inside, there's cards that do attack damage, and then they also give you heroic points at the bottom, right? It'd be like +1, +2. Then there's the mid-tier cards that use heroic points, or more powerful cards. They do more damage. They do my counters and stuff, right? And that those 1, 2 to 5 to 6. So as you use the non-heroic cards, it builds up your heroic meter, right? Your points go up.
So you should only have like maybe 1 or 2 heroic things in there to get you out of a jam, and the rest should be building.
Right. You build up the power, then use the power and take out a bunch of people. What was happening to me after the first round, going into that second round doing the boss fight, I was getting no cards that would give me heroic. No cards. Like they would give.
But you put those cards in the deck.
It's randomly. The cards are dealt randomly out. Right.
All right, so there's my. I already have problems with this.
You put the cards in a certain order.
Do you build a deck? Do you build a deck or not?
You build the deck and put them in the order that you want to build it in. Okay.
Yeah.
Then when you go,
random.
Yes, but then it shuffles the deck for you.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So you have shitty cards.
Well, no. What happened was when I went to that second round. Hold on.
No.
So what happened was when I went to the second round, it's random. So when I restarted the mission, because it already started that mission, no matter what I did, it would give me the exact same card. It wasn't shuffling them randomly. It was already set that these are the cards that you're starting with. So I backed out, went back in, restarted the mission. It started that second section again and gave me the exact same cards again. And I was like, I was in this like endless loop.
Yeah, but reloading the game doesn't give you a different deal. It's not. It's like a save point. You got those cards anyway.
No. But I died, and then it said, "You want to restart this section?" Yes. So I restart, and it just gave me the same cards in the line.
Because that's the checkpoint. You died there.
Sure. But I couldn't do anything, and it changed it randomly because the very first time where I almost killed her, I had cards in there where I had to get heroic points.
I'm still hearing you have shitty cards.
Sure, right, but I'm telling you what happened to me.
It sounds like you're trying to win a game of Magic with an all-white deck, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was literally just a shit dealt of my cards because my deck is really decent where I would build up the points But they were
the 5 shittiest cards in your hand. You were always getting first.
No, they're not the shitty cards. They're good cards. I wasn't getting the shitty cards to give me heroic points. You got to use the small cards to get you heroic points.
I agree to disagree. You told me that the shitty cards that you had didn't have heroic points on them.
Look, it's hard to describe. You have to.
No, I got it. There are cards that have powers, and there's a heroic point on that card. When you use that card, that heroic point goes into a bank.
Correct.
And then when you happen to get a heroic card that has like a 4 or something on it, you have to have 4 points in the bank to use that card.
Power. Yeah, to use that card.
I got it.
So what happened was I was like, let me start the whole mission over again. So I started the whole mission over again, and I thought I outsmarted it, right? So I only used a certain. Nope. I used a whole bunch of cards and built up my heroic. So when I went into that second round, I was like, all right, I have 7 points stacked up. So when they give me these cards now, it goes to that second round, and all of a sudden it goes, nope. It goes delete, and it deletes all of the points that I had saved up. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how does that work? Why is it deleting my points? So I was shit out of luck. So I backed out, and I said I'm not going to play it right now.
So wait a minute. Each battle is cumulative, or each battle is a separate shuffling of the deck?
As I was playing, I thought from round 1 to round 2 it would carry over, but when I got to round 2, it deleted my heroic points. So so apparently it starts over. But if it started over, and this is my problem, if it started over with those heroic points and put them to 0, I thought that I would get those lower tier cards back in the shuffle. But it wasn't shuffling those cards in that deck. It was only giving me my heroic points, but then I had no heroic points to use. It was very frustrating. YouTube Lurker was watching me going, he's like, I've never seen this. This is the shittiest I've ever seen a card. He's like, your luck is really bad right now.
Can you buy things in that game?
No. It's a standalone. There's no microtransactions. There's nothing that you can.
The game was trying to troll you, man.
Yeah, it was just a bad thing. But then I went back and it was funny because earlier in the night, there was these harder missions where like you're going against this like witch that has this blockade guy in front of him, and there's like a portal opened up, and you have to kill these like rocks, okay, to like damage her. 3 cards. I used 3 cards, wiped her out, and I was like, I feel good. So like my first 4 missions, I was destroying things within the first 1 round, 2 rounds.
Y'all know about that, bro.
Then I went to the main story mission. The first main story mission, it was fine. And then the second story mission, I was like, what is happening? I'm getting the shittiest cards I've ever seen in my entire life. So I was like, all right, I'll just go back to the regular game and build up my cards. So now I'm going back, going to different missions, using those characters to get better cards for them, rearranging my decks, building. It's not a big deal. I was just trying to go through the main story mission, and I got gear checked, basically.
But the more you talk about this game, I keep hearing about this game, and all I keep thinking about is this was originally a mobile game that they brought over to console.
I don't
That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like to me, because a card-based, turn-based action thing like that seems like mobile all the way. And they decided that they were going to put it on console. That's what it seems like to me. I'm guessing.
I can see what you're saying. It doesn't feel like that. It does not feel like a mobile game in any way, shape, or form. It feels like an XCOM, but with cards.
Well, then why not make XCOM?
Because they wanted to make it different, right? I think there's parts of the game that I feel like in the early production, I feel like because the way the industry was going, this game looked like in some way, shape, or form there might have been microtransactions in it. Because so if I go do a mission, I get these canisters, right? And I get these pyramids, I forget what they're called. But when Doctor Strange opens it or Tony Stark opens it, there's this big ordeal that he's like whoosh, and there's all these like graphics that go off, and then
that's for sales purposes.
And then when they open up a chest, it looks like a loot crate type of stuff. So again, I'm not saying this is how it was. All hypothetical, but it does seem like in the early stages of making this game, they thought about doing microtransactions and stuff like that.
Okay, well here's my point, right? The cards are shuffled and their abilities, right? So how would that be any different than an ability list on the bottom of your character on the screen of the different powers that you have, the higher your character goes? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like having a card for randomness to decide whether or not I'm allowed to pick the power, as opposed to the powers are there, and once I pick it, I can't pick it again until I use all the powers.
Right.
That's exactly the
or
same
like build
mechanic.
up your energy meter up to a certain point, and then you can.
That's the same mechanic. So when I see that kind of mechanic, I'm like, that seems like a mobile mechanic. That's mobile.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, yeah.
Because picking cards, collecting cards, like when you bring cards into it, and especially in this environment, all I'm thinking about is collections and
sure, like buy more to get better cards and stuff like that.
You don't just make cards for no reason. Powers are there. I pick a power, I level up my guy, I get 2 power choices, I pick a power, that goes into my list. I mean, it's the same mechanic, just done 2 different ways.
Yeah, no, right? I believe that it could have been. It could have been down the road.
I'm not harping on it, but when something like that happens, right? This is me only now. I'm only talking about myself, right? If I'm a superhero, right? I'm fucking Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
I'm in a room with 8 guys. And in my brain, I'm like, you guys are motherfucking dead. Like, I don't care if you got machine guns or rocket launchers. I don't care. I'm fucking Wolverine. And you go, oopsie-doo, got 3 shitty cards, can't do much. Wolverine's got to put his claw in his ass. No, bro.
There are times like I have Wolverine, I have a Doctor Strange, and I have my Hunter, and then all of a sudden, no cards pop up for Wolverine, so he's just kind of just sitting on the battlefield.
Hey, you understand my problem?
You know, I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely get what you're saying.
Okay, so now to defend that point, right? And this is helping everybody in the room. Sorry if I think I'm making fun of you guys. If I'm in the room with a bunch of guys who love superheroes, my defense is your shitty game was a mobile game that you made into a console game.
Right.
Because we know if you were making a console game with superheroes, I wouldn't be limited by a fucking card for my superhero.
This is why the more I play the game, and because the company is the ones that made XCOM, and the way the stuff is done in the game, I do believe early production or early development cycle, it was a game that was supposed to be microtransactions and the way that you were supposed to do stuff. It just seems that way, and I think that's why the cards are in there. Okay? But who knows? That's just my speculation on that whole thing. All right. Let's move on to the top stories. Travis says early, yes, it was, but Fairback said no. Oh, did they? Well, then if they said no, then why would they build the mechanics in the game where Tony Stark is going and Doctor Strange is opening up the thing? Like, why would they put that in there if they said no?
Those are all.
It seems like it was pretty far along the way.
Splashes. Those are all splashes for advertisements.
It feels like it was pretty far along the way before they were like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this because we're going to get shit-faced for this. Like, we're going to get destroyed. Yeah.
Yes, they would have.
I think that's more of the reason why they stopped it.
So should we say that game was saved?
It was
the last moment on the 11th hour.
I think it, again, speculations. I think they changed it halfway or maybe more than halfway because of all the other stuff that was going on with the microtransactions, and they're like, same thing's happening right now. Same thing's happening right now with I did a story earlier today about SBI where the people that were doing Gollum, the Gollum game, they said they're no longer going to be working with SBI, right? And other companies like Cape worked it, and they showed SBI in the credits. This is the exact same thing. Microtransactions, everyone's like, oh, we had microtransactions. Right? And they move away. That's the same thing that's happening to SBI right now. They're like, well, we worked with them, but we didn't work with them that long. Right? Like, that's what they're doing right now.
Hey, but I don't want to start a rant this early.
It's a half hour and we're good.
I don't want to start a rant this early. Let's just use Sweet Baby just as an example.
Sure.
Okay. Let's say company A gets the use of Sweet Baby.
Yep.
For whatever reason they think they need it. Right? People are talking about it as if Sweet Baby came in and said, hey, we can help you do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that's not what they did.
What people are not talking about is company A is already doing the thing that we hate.
Right.
And they wanted more help doing the thing that we hate. So they brought Sweet Baby on board with them. So they were already doing this shit. They just wanted now they're using Sweet Baby as the scapegoat, as like,
sure,
well, like you start hearing all that kind of nonsense. We're not with them, but really the people in your business wanted to do that. Otherwise, they would not have called them. It's not like somebody's walking around, I really wish I had some milk. Let's call a farmer and get some milk.
Right.
They were like, we got milk.
I just don't know what to do with this character. I just don't know how to write for this character anymore.
So that part of the conversation has to stop. The directing of blame has to go to the company itself first.
Well, because they're getting money.
And then you guys can point to people like Sweet Baby and the rest of these companies. Let's stop pretending like Sweet Baby and the rest of these companies that are in this business, it's just them, right? They wanted them, right? That's the difference.
Right.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, that's all right. So let's go with the first story, Sarge. The first story I want to talk about is it's not really it's not a story. It's more of a job posting, and I kind of want to talk about it because there's something in the job posting that talks about it comes from Tech Gamers. Okay, it's going to be a little blurry for people, but I'll read it to you. Right,
it's gonna be blurry. It doesn't have the FX thing.
It doesn't have the HD enhancements that you have to download. So this is just a posting, and it says it just came across a job listing for senior environment artist in Battlefield at EA Motive, okay, which is the company that's working on the next Battlefield 7 game, whatever you want to call it, okay. It says qualifications for this. It says 6+ years of experience in the industry, an eye for spatial composition, lighting, color, textures, and building believable scenes. Experience with environmental functions versus form relationships that makes the game level fun and intriguing. Okay, convey a sense of story in the scene or game assets, considering age, weathering, and context. Adapt to different art styles, including photorealistic and stylized. Okay, proficiency in Maya, just studio stuff. Paint available for services using industry standard, and then it says knowledge of terrain creation, both modeled, procedurally generated, and advanced open world experience a plus. Okay, now we came across and talked about what Battlefield's doing in the future, and we came and speculated that they would do some sort of open world stuff. Now, Battlefield, we know, is much more bigger in environment than like a Call of Duty and whatnot, unless you're playing Warzone. Now, Warzone has converted itself into that because it wanted to compete against Fortnite, and we all know that Warzone is just Fortnite for adults now, or for more mature people instead of doing the Fortnite thing, right? So this is why they put Nicki Minaj, Cheech and Chong, Sloth, Godzilla, King Kong, whatever inside there, right? But what Battlefield's doing now, it looks like they are doing this. If it's a Warzone type of area, if it's a universe of Battlefield where it's like opened up and you're doing like maybe different battles across this one giant map. What do you make of this, Sarge? Again, it's just a job posting. It says open world experience a plus. I think one of the other things here is interesting, where it says adapt to different art styles, which why would they need different art styles if they're just making a Battlefield game, Sarge? I've also, before I hand it off to you, I've also talked about, I think Portal should have been their next thing, right? Portal should have been the Battlefield Portal. Technically could have different art styles based on like World War I, World War II, and so on. So why would they need different art styles for introducing photorealism and stylized in a game like Battlefield?
Let's remember what the goal is for EA, right? Let's remember what the goal is. They got their FIFA, they got their Madden, right?
Right.
We are talking the most incredible MVPs of all time. Right?
Right.
Those two games. So now the difficulty of a Battlefield game is that in the original way the game was created, they needed multiple studios to have games come out every couple years in order to stay competitive with yours truly, COD, right? So once COD went mobile and said, we're doing all this fun, cool stuff for all the kiddies, right? Battlefield decided that, well, the only way we can stay competitive is if we do the same thing that COD did. So we have to find a way to turn Battlefield into Fortnite. Like they want you in a Battlefield lobby like they want you in the Fortnite universe. Right? So you're going to be in Battlefield, but then because you're a character in the game, right? Walking around, and like you're going to pick like the Disney World spots, except your Disney World spots are going to be like the types of war, kids. Like we can have modern warfare or World War II, or we could have the Vietnam War over here, and like your little character will run over and go into the actual world of that, and he'll do like a little whooshing sound, or he'll like a little skateboard, he'll skate into World War II. Like that's what they're looking for, bro. They're looking for some kind of cutesy universe thing with first-person shooters. Like it doesn't go, bro. It just doesn't go. All you have to do is just make a game in the military fashion. Guys like war. Not like personally like they love war.
No.
We hate war, but like we wouldn't be doing all the stuff we were doing unless we were into tactics and modern military, everything. Like that's what we're into. Otherwise, the country wouldn't even be defended, right? This is what we are. So you're making a game, but you're trying to kidify and monetize a war game. And on one level of my brain, that sounds like the most sadistic shit I've ever heard, that you're trying to monetize a war game, right? It's bad enough that we have to deal with war on a real level.
You're trying to monetize it into Madden or FIFA, but with battle.
Right. We're trying to say that we're trying to monetize conflict now, as opposed to just, this is how I decompressed. I was in war. I was in Iran. I was in Iraq. I was in the Fallujah thing. Like people who actually have come back from military stuff use military games as a way to cope. It's an actual thing that they use in therapy. They like it. It helps them bond with other guys who are actually there, and it helps them out. Now you're going to turn it into this fucking circus because you want to turn it into some monetized actual thing. It sounds disgusting, right? Now, yes, it's a video game. Yes, that's what it is. We all know it's a video game. But you keep making it to the point where, and not my words, their words, I forget which COD it was, but what was the COD that came out with? They said it was so realistic, people had flashbacks. Which one was that?
I think it was before. I don't know if it was Modern Warfare 1 remake, like the remake, or if it was the one before that.
It was one that it wasn't that far ago.
It was before COVID. It was like 2018, 2019, something like that.
So people were talking about it in that.
It's so realistic. I can't play it. Right. Yeah.
But now, understandable. Now, I don't make fun of those people because if somebody was actually there, and those people actually did it that way, then we
do make fun of those people, because the people that reported on that were offended by it were just journalists, and they didn't see battle in their entire life.
Understandable. What I'm saying is it's plausible that people were actually there that may have seen it and it triggered them. I understand that part of it. What I'm saying is you are trying to turn something. There's a fine line here. It's a video game, but it's something that guys bond over. It's not like this circus. It's a brotherhood of guys playing a team game in the military mindset. It's not just a normal game to some people. I'm not saying like on a serious level, like competitive. I'm talking about just how they perceive it. And so when I see things like this, and I'm looking at EA and I'm like, can't you guys just pay some people to make a video game that people want to play? Everything to you has to be this monetization mountain of nonsense, right? And they're going to turn it into like war zone, and it's going to be like, we'll do whatever I want, but it's going to be a circus. It seems closed-minded, and it's just a greed move, right? Now, I will give them as much rope as they want. I'll give you 50-pound test. This way you can strangle yourself before the line breaks. I will give you as much line as you want to show me what you're going to do that's going to make all the kiddies want to come and play your game, as opposed to just playing COD and not being monetized into the ground.
Right. This is my problem with Battlefield. Let's say they are going to the war zone method, where it's just
not an argument, Robert. Think about it. How would you turn? Think about it. How would you turn a first-person shooter into a Madden or into a FIFA? How do you do it?
Right. Well, this is my problem with Battlefield. Right. I've said this before. Like, Battlefield to me was the game that I wanted to play over COD because of what it did. right? With World War I, World War II, Vietnam, with all the stuff, modern warfare. Like the way they did it over COD separated itself because it was large scale battles with groups of people, where COD was large scale group of people, smaller maps, and no one played together. It was like you're playing with your buddy, but you're all going for the instant kill streaks and who can outdo who and whatnot. Battlefield wasn't about that. Down the line, Battlefield tried to become more like COD because COD was selling more. More people wanted to play COD. So much so that EA threw Titanfall at it as well to try to steal that extra $60 to see if, well, maybe if we give them Battlefield and we give them Titanfall, maybe they'll spend $120 with us and they won't spend that extra $60 with COD. Now it seems like because they've lost their way, the last for Battlefield 2042, they tried. They said, Battlefield 2042, we're bringing it back to Battlefield, right? They jangled the keys. They showed the memory berries of jumping out of the plane, having that Battlefield moment. They gave you Portal. They gave you what they were doing with the heroes, and they lost what Battlefield is. They've completely lost what the identity is. Now they're doing, if they are doing, a open world, larger scale. Like maybe they're saying like you could fight on the whole entire world, Sarge. Like that's what they're going for. Then maybe people are like perk their ears up. But if they're doing this Warzone type of thing where it's a BR or if it is a Warzone, I think they're missing the bus here. No point intended about the Fortnite bus, right? But I think they're missing the bus because what are they going to do? Are they going to bring Snoop Dogg? Are they going to bring all these other characters in so that people are like, well, I really like playing Snoop Dogg over in Call of Duty, but now I could play Snoop Dogg with a group of friends in a little group pack setting. Like, what are they going to do that makes it so much better than what Battlefield already was?
Maybe I'm coming at this. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on the one side. So if you wanted to turn it into where you can be Snoop Dogg and you can shoot Nicki Minaj in the face with an Uzi, like on one level, I'd be okay with that because I would love to shoot Nicki Minaj in the face with being Snoop Dogg. but that being said, that should be a game in Fortnite or a game like that. You should not take a war game.
Correct. Just make a different IP.
You should not make a war game that's based on reality where guys have gone to these locations and guys have done this stuff, and you're basically making fun of it by introducing like this nonsense into it. It doesn't show respect for what it is. Yes, it's a video game, but think about all the settings that they have done over the years. It's not a joke. They're showing you the real deal, and yes, you're playing inside the real deal, but it's still a video game. But they're not making fun of it. They're not saying like.
But I think you're missing it though. I think you're trying to think like it's a military sim or it's not a military sim. Battlefield's Battlefield, right? Squad is Squad. Warzone is.
Battlefield was Battlefield.
Correct.
Now,
and now
Battlefield is something else.
Now it's completely something else. Like Delta Force is coming out, right? People are playing it in Steam and stuff, and they're like, "This is really good. You should play it. You should try it." Why can't EA make another franchise and then try something different? Why do they keep taking the thing that was working and then change it to ruin it?
Because it doesn't make the same money as Madden and FIFA. That's the goal. Everything at the end of every conversation we're having this evening, especially when it comes to video game development, is how do we get more money out of it? So how do I get more money out of Battlefield? They create their own issue. When Battlefield sold really well, it was still always below COD, right? And now that COD jumped up with all this nonsense, Battlefield can't go the same way they were going. Right. They have to do something crazy just to be the same level beneath them.
Which they'll still be below, right? They'll still be below.
They're still going to be below them.
Right, but they want to keep that same measurement away from them.
But for some strange reason, you guys are still in business. If the game was that bad, you would have flushed it down the toilet with every other IP you did. But for some strange reason, even though you guys suck, you keep making a game in the same IP because it sells.
Yeah.
Right? All I'm saying is that you think you need to follow the circus, right? We're doing this circus thing. The kids want the circus. I said the kids don't get it because they've never been to war. They don't understand war. They don't understand what it is to have brothers in battle. Like, they don't get it. They think the whole thing is just supposed to be for shits and giggles. If it was for just shits and giggles, they wouldn't be using those games in therapy. They wouldn't be using those games in hospitals and guys who were veterans in battle for them to cope with and just to have like fun. It makes them more human with each other again because they shared a moment.
Yeah,
they shared those moments.
I don't think that's the majority of the people that are playing the game.
I know this, but what I'm letting you know is you're chasing the circus now.
Yeah, you're following trends instead of making the game that you're supposed to make.
Go into the chat rooms online and talk to the guys who actually play these games, not the kids. The guys who play and let them describe to you why they play these certain games, why they play Battlefield or why they play Squad or what. There's reasons. It's not just because it's a
fun,
circus,
right? It's fun, right?
It's not because it's a circus. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Right? I want a Battlefield game like what a Battlefield game is supposed to be, right? Multiple vehicles, multiple classes, large scale battles. Right, whether they're fictitious,
land
or
and air, same board, yeah,
right. Everything that's what it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be over the top battle, right? Not a map with 3 lanes and I'm a character like Nicki Minaj running around. Like I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, all right.
I never liked the COD, the COD
right, man, and I. Look, I think COD, what they're doing is great. We're going to talk about Call of Duty in a second more. But again, I think the identity for both these games of Call of Duty is not what Call of Duty is anymore. It's completely different, and it's worked for them. I don't think it'll work for Battlefield just because I think, like you said, they're chasing that trend, and they're also trying to become like Madden.
But you know as well as I do, like you sense it now, right? Like you see that the developers who make first-person shooters have looked into the room here, and they have seen there is a giant gap in the world where the first person shooter is. And you have all these companies, these small development teams, all trying to bide for power to who comes up with the next big first person shooter. You see it because now you're seeing all these other guys get involved now. And what I'm hoping is somebody's going to hit the nail on the head and come out with a really good first person shooter, and it's going to overtake COD and Battlefield.
Well, that's going to be really hard to do, right?
Yes,
just like anything, because like if someone comes up with a new search engine, they have to go up against Google, right? And
okay, but let's be fair.
There could be other Google search engines, but there's not going to be as big as Google.
Yep, but you say that, but you have been alive long enough to witness it happen multiple times.
Sure.
Let's look at Epic, right? Epic's game, right? Fortnite. What was the original name? I don't even remember the original name.
It was just Fortnite Save the World is what the original...
Save the World,
yeah.
Right? So when they made that game and it didn't go over well, right? Nobody gave a shit. It was like, it's just another game by Epic.
Handbrake.
Yeah. Epic wasn't on the map.
Yep.
Epic wasn't on the map.
Well, they were, but they weren't where they wanted to be.
Not like we're talking about now.
No.
And then their single pivot to change a game that was half-assed and broken, that only 10% of the people liked, they were able to pivot and make it the hottest thing.
In 3 months.
In 3 months, make it the hottest thing ever. And now they're on top of the world. So to say that some guys who are thinking about making a first-person shooter can't do it, I don't believe that.
Well,
I believe with the right people and the right vision of what your game wants to be, you could take the top spot, no problem.
I think it's much harder now because there's way too many studios. There's way too many games. So even if you get the percentage of, let's say, someone comes in and overtakes them for viewership or whatnot, it's split. You're still gonna, instead of having 30 million people playing Call of Duty, you're gonna have 25 million people or 20 million playing Call of Duty, and you're gonna have, like, let's say Delta Force gets that 10 million, right? Waterbear says it in chat. He says, what can Battlefield offer to pull away COD audience, right? And that's just it. Like, there's so many other...
They were never together.
No, I understand that. But what he's saying is just like all these games are competing, right? Right now, we're competing with everybody else on YouTube, even though they're not doing a gaming podcast, right? You're trying to get people their attention for whatever time they're watching or what they're playing. So if Battlefield and Titanfall and Apex and all these games that EA puts out and makes, can it pull enough away from their competitor? No, they can't, because there's so many choices now to play. This is why Concord's going to fail. This is why all these other games are going to fail, because there's too many of these games that are compared the same.
But that's part of the process. A part of the process is when COD and Battlefield were going at it and they were starting to fail, people were noticing the games weren't as good anymore, right? That's when you started seeing all these other teams come out with first-person shooters. They smelled blood in the water, so they took the time to make their version of a first-person shooter. Yes, the market is saturated, but that's what you need. You need a bunch of guys to come in to try to do something different, and some are going to fall away, and some are going to rise to the top. That's the way it goes. You want that.
But that's...
I don't want it to be caught in Battlefield battling it out and nobody else try.
Well, the difference is, though, back when old games were old games, you had to invest $60 to play that game. Now you're competing against games that are free to play, and all they do, and back then when you were done with the game, you were done with the game. Now season pass. So now there's 10 games, all doing the exact same thing, all free to play, all have season passes, all have battle passes, all have new things coming in, all have different events. So they never leave that game because they're like, oh, well, I want to go play this new game, but this game's got me going still because they got the new season pass. That's the difference.
It doesn't matter if it has a battle pass or not. If someone plays a first-person shooter and it's good, and their friends are playing that first-person shooter, I don't give a shit how many battle passes Battlefield and COD have. They're going to spend their time playing that game with their friends. The reason why they're free to play is because they're trying to make the game cheaper and get the game into a market where people are already there. And then that way they can buy microtransactions when they're bored, when they want to be Nicki Minaj or Snoop Dogg or The Rock or whoever else you get to pick. What I'm trying to tell you is you need to have those periods of time where everybody... I'm pretty sure that if I did the research right now and just looked it up, I'm pretty sure there's at least 15 or 16 different first-person shooters out there right now trying to get an audience. Right?
There's games trying to make audience all the time.
Yeah, but it hasn't been like this for a while. There hasn't been an overwhelming group of people trying to do first-person shooters. Now there is.
Yeah, and there's
currently right now there's a lot.
You got Summit or Shroud coming out with a game. You got Dr. Disrespect's old company that he left is making a game. You got another game that just came out. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're all fighting over one piece of meat, and that meat is not getting any bigger.
That's correct. They're fighting over who can get people to spend homework time with them, as opposed to a guy who's trying to make a war game that people want to play. Like, I don't want Battlefield or COD homework. I don't care. I want to be able to turn on my system, call my buds up, and be like, hey, we're going to get on in a few minutes. Let's have a few rounds, and we're going to play, and then it ends. Not that we're going to play Showtime Barbie dress up, and you're going to look how I look in my uniform. But that's for the kids. I'm talking about a different demographic of guys who want to play a first-person shooter.
Which is a smaller portion of than what the kids are.
It's not as small as you think.
It's not as big as what you think.
Fortnite has its fucking people.
Yeah?
Fortnite has them all. Every fucking kid on the planet is playing Fortnite. I could pull a random kid off the street. Who's your character in Fortnite? He's got 3 answers. Guaranteed.
Yeah, John Wick.
They have their
Darth
number.
Vader. Yeah, they think all those characters come from Fortnite. Yeah. No, but I'm telling you, it's just too many, and there's not enough of the bone for these companies to like of the characters or the people that are playing the game. They want more.
But that's why you have to make a game and just sell a game, right? When you used to make a game and sell a game, it was a really high-selling game, and then you waited for the next version to come out, and then you fell off and played something else.
That's not how it works anymore. It's throw as much content out. Yeah. So anyway, let's go to the next story.
Are you calling it content now, or just throwing shit to the wall?
No, it's shit to the wall. It's content. It's season pass.
Okay.
Right, so the next one is Take-Two expects Call of Duty will boost Game Pass numbers for a period of time, but it won't affect the decision because its decisions are rational. So the Take-Two CEO, Strauss Zelnick, says that putting a game like Call of Duty into the Game Pass is inevitable, push consumers towards subscribing at least for a bit. Now, Take-Two does support subscription services, though the legacy titles, yet it has been skeptical around the idea of putting the brand new AAA games into a service on the day it comes out. Now, Zelnick told in 2022 that he doesn't make any sense to for them to put, economically speaking, we don't like consumers prepared to pay for that and then can't afford it to turn our business upside down the way it doesn't make sense economically. But if Xbox continues significantly pushes Game Pass with the inclusion of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 into the service this October, does Zelnick expect consumer habits to change? He says, I think that offering a frontline title with a premium price in subscription services day and date will push consumers to that subscription service for at least a period of time. Okay. Now, however, he added that the move about Microsoft doesn't change how Take-Two views subscription opportunity. No, it won't affect the decision, Zelnick says, because our decisions are rational. Now, obviously, this is coming from a guy who has the largest IP on the planet Earth when it comes to Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 6 come out, it's going to outsell everything. It's going to make waves when it comes out. So it makes sense for him, but he's also not telling you that, oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto is going to sell a shit ton of copies, but we're also going to put Grand Theft Auto 6 on Game Pass because we've put Red Dead Redemption, we put Red Dead Redemption 2, we put Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5.
Shot.
What's that? What do you mean?
No shot.
No,
Not right away.
No, that's what I'm saying. But he's going to put it on after, right? That's
Sure.
that's what he's saying, because economically it doesn't make sense. He wants to make the sales up front, but then he's going to put that game on that platform 6 months, 8 months down the lane.
9 years later.
No, not 9 years later. What I'm saying is he will put it out there because his business model for Grand Theft Auto 6 is 100% GTA universe. We're just talking about an open world battlefield. That's what Grand Theft Auto is. We see how much money they make from the open world online aspect of it, and that's only 16 people, I think, or 24 people per server. Okay, they're talking about other things. So, question though is Call of Duty. Do you think Call of Duty is big enough to keep the funnel? Because, like he says, it'll bring in people at the front, but it'll fade off pretty quick. Okay. Now I think I agree with him, but at the same time I disagree with him because there's season passes, because there's all these other type of options that you could do. Like, for instance, I haven't played a Call of Duty since 2009, right? Like, I haven't owned a Call of Duty or played a Call of Duty dedicated wise since 2009, Modern Warfare 2 back then. Okay. Call of Duty comes out now on Game Pass. I have Game Pass, so they didn't get me because of it, but it's there, so I'll play it for the first time in 14 years. Okay. Now if it hooks me and I'm like, oh, the campaign was good, and maybe I'll give Warzone, even though Warzone's free anyway. Okay. Will they bring enough content down the road where it makes me keep coming back? I don't know if people that play Call of Duty and only Call of Duty, if they're going to pay that monthly fee to play Call of Duty, where before they bought it and then played the shit out of it for the year.
Okay, so this is how you have to look at it. They are willing to sacrifice the upfront pricing if the number in the back end is big enough, right? That's how it works, right? So they're in a room and they decide, do you want to put Call of Duty on Game Pass or not? And they go, well, let's look at the COD sales. We're going to sell 30 million copies or 50 million copies. It's really good. Like, it's really good. If it's a good COD, they sell anywhere between 25 and 40 million copies, right? So if they're willing to say, what we have planned for battle passes and back end and skin bullshit and everything else, right? Think about it now. It's an all-encompassing cost, right? If we put this on and put it on Game Pass and the Warzone thing, whatever you want to call it, right? We don't have to make another COD, right? We just have this. Just like we have GTA has been on for like 9 years. We just have GTA.
Right.
We have COD for 9 years. We just keep releasing other things. So what they want to do is they're trying to say, if we can make it enticing enough to get people to want to be on Game Pass because of COD, right? They're looking at that picture. They're like, well, if we make COD and we put it on Game Pass, can we get enough people to be on Game Pass where they're going to be in COD? Do we know that number will come over? And if they sit in a room and they think about it and they go, yeah, we can get a good 60% retention on that, they'll do it. They'll do it.
Yeah.
It's them having the growing pains of saying, will I give up the front end? And let's just go with 30 million copies. Let's pick a sweet number, right? So 210 million or $2.1 billion. Are you guys ready to give up $2.1 billion up front for the elongated version of how much shit they're going to buy in the back end?
Well,
see, I think the way that they're doing it now, right? And I know in their eyes, on their sheets, it looks good. But I think that a lot of these companies are painting themselves in a corner that they can't get out of, right? They're painting themselves so badly in a corner. Their delusions of grandeur, of everybody having all this free time to do all these battle pass homework assignments between the 8 games that they want you involved in. Meanwhile, these guys want to just play games for fun, not do homework assignments. So if you keep making every game a battle pass homework assignment, you're going to run out of time that you're going to have these people playing your game. And they won't notice it right away, right? They're going to get their upfront money from Microsoft. We're not going to give you $2.1 billion, but we're going to give you like $780 million in the beginning, right? And then you're going to be on Game Pass, and they're going to think, yeah, it's a great deal. We'll make it in the back end. But what that starts to happen is you don't get that concentrated effort of people playing your game and buying shit inside your game on a consistent level for their numbers to look good month in and month out, because they're too busy playing other games.
Right.
Whereas before, you made COD, you made a good COD, you sold 30 million copies, you got your $2.1 billion, and you went the fuck home. And then you decided what else you wanted to make. But their superior greed mentality wants the homework assignment because they think they can get more. And I'm telling you, I don't think people, the demographic that they want, have enough time to be involved in all these homework assignment games. They just don't. And it's going to hurt them in the long run. And then you're going to get some kind of nonsense saying, oh, you know what? We had to let him go. The guys who made Call of Duty, had to let him go. It's just didn't work out real well. Well, didn't you guys go on Game Pass? Aren't the people playing it every fucking day? Yeah, they're playing every fucking day, but Timmy's not spending $85 a day on skins, so I got to let him go. Like, that's not how it works, man. Right? We preach it all the time. Make a game, sell a game. I'm telling you, they painted themselves in a corner.
I think what they do, who brought it up in chat here? Dark Taco says, they got to give Game Pass Ultimate subscribers Xbox rewards and perks for COD exclusively, like they do already, and just drown people to bolster retention. And I think this is what they do, right? I think, and I don't know if they're doing this already, or Dark Taco, but I think this is what they do, right? All of a sudden, first of all, let me ask, because I don't play COD. Is Master Chief skin inside of Call of Duty right now? Have they already used this as marketing material for COD? Let me know, chat, right? What my point is, my point is, they give, let's say Master Chief is my example here, okay? Where all of a sudden Master Chief is in there, okay? And it's only for people that have Game Pass. And maybe they don't give it to them, but they give it to it on a heavily discount, or maybe they give them you get Master Chief, but it has this separate skin or cosmetic, right? They're selling Snoop Dogg. They're selling all these other things to get people to come back every so many months or whatever. If you're a Game Pass Ultimate member, maybe they give you a exclusive skin, right? Just like there was exclusive skins back for Soul Calibur back in the day for certain games and those fighting games. If you bought it on PlayStation, if you bought it on PC, if you bought it for Nintendo, if you bought it for Xbox, I think that's what they do with a game like this, especially now with Warzone and all these skins that they sell. I think they do these skins where if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member, you're going to get these special skins that only you, if you're on Ultimate for that month. So everyone's like, well, damn, I really like that skin. So it's, if I buy it separate, it's $30. But if I get Game Pass, it's only $18, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, because they're only paying for that month. So I can see them doing something along the lines of that, of keeping that retention. Let me see what chat is saying. So is Master Chief in the game? War Game is probably crazy. Suicide Squad, Sarge. Nope. Master Chief is a good pick. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't think he's in it, but I can see them doing something along the lines of that. All right. So from that, I want to talk about. Let's see what we got here. We don't need to talk about that. Ubisoft. I want to go to the next story about Ubisoft. Right. It says here, I haven't read the article yet, but it says Ubisoft accused of using bots to hype up Star Wars Outlaws. I'll be honest, just reading the title alone, who's not using bots to promote their accounts now? You know what I mean? Between Twitter and people and YouTube and all these social media sites, they all use, right? Bots. So let me read a little bit here. It says, when the first previews of Star Wars Outlaws poured in, most media outlets didn't have much positive to say about it. However, things took a turn with the latest ones, and the previews were mostly positive. According to the report, there has been more to the story. Recently, it was claimed that Ubisoft offered YouTubers VIP Disneyland trips to earn to the favor, which we talked about, and says why it matters. Modern social media platforms are plagued with bots. These can also influence public opinions in an unfair manner, making the practice quite, despised. Okay, according to a Twitter user who shares the entire set of comments on the post, the majority of them are being led by bots. The user has shown that these bots have commented on posts about Star Wars Outlaws. The source has been created by video, and to expose these bots, increasingly a number of these accounts also have blue checks, okay, which also are worrying since the platform's credibility considers how bot influencers it has become, right? So obviously, Elon Musk puts the blue check mark next to it to say, hey, these are real people. These are actual real people. But now people are paying bots accounts to have blue check marks and make them real accounts or whatnot. So it kind of murkies the waters, right? So it says, anyhow, to raise many questions about Star Wars Outlaws, we already know that this game has a huge fan base considering it belongs to the biggest franchise, but the use of bots isn't the best move. So what do you think about this, Sarge, as far as someone has, evidence they're saying that they're using bots. Again, lots of accounts use bots. We've talked about this with the movies and when all the way back when Captain Marvel came out about people having bots, and we go to Rotten Tomatoes and the reviews are bots, and you can see certain things, or they shut off comments, or they always manipulating stuff. Now we obviously, this is a game, and it's separate from Disney Plus. It's separate from the Star Wars shows that sucked, that people were it's separate, but at the same time it's still owned. The IP is still owned by Disney. So do you think that what they do with those shows, do you think they're doing the same thing with Star Wars Outlaws? And after the first backlash of the first previews came out, now the bots are in effect going, no, it's a great game. I love this game. This game looks great.
Well, my stance, first of all, for bots is they should be banned, period. And if your company is using bots, then you're also banned from any online advertisement as well. Like, that's how it should be, because you're not understanding the level of manipulation with people when you have bots and how people get swayed by things that aren't real. And you could say that it's just a video game, but they're using it in other aspects of life as well. Video games is just one of them, right? Now, to get rid of bots, whatever way they have to get rid of bots, I think should be done. It needs to go, right? If you're trying to make bots to say your game is good, then you're worried that your game doesn't stand on its own. That's the first thing you need to know, right? Whether or not the game is good or not, if you're using bots to put out positive reinforcement for a video game and you can't let the game speak for itself, that should be question number one. Now, if you don't care because it's just whatever, it's because you're not being influenced in something that you actually care about. If something was being influenced in something you cared about and you realized that it was just a bunch of fake accounts doing something, like, let's say, for instance, somebody started up an account with a bunch of bots that said so-and-so that, one of your best friends is an adulterer and he murdered his ex-girlfriend and whatever else. And those bots just kept saying, yeah, I knew the guy. He did the same thing back when I knew him back in Colorado. And it was just a bot after bot after bot saying that this guy's a scumbag. And then your friend was fucking erased from life because of the fact that all these bots said he did shit that he didn't do.
Right, because they can manipulate stuff, and obviously,
if you don't think that's severe enough for you, then I guess it hasn't happened to you yet, right? So in my mind, there should be no bots at all. And if you're caught using bots, you're done online. Like, you're done.
I don't know how they would manage that though, right? Like, right now, literally, someone could
you make it sound like it's impossible.
No,
right?
No,
nothing's impossible.
I didn't say it's impossible, but what I'm saying, I don't know how they would stop it, because right now one person can go pay like $100 and get like 1,000 bots, right?
Yeah,
and the bots are getting so outrageous where you could tell each bot, you could tell it to go, I want it to be like 70% positive and 30% whatever, and mix it up and type of stuff, right?
Sure.
And they try to make it, because now the bots are also getting fed by AI, okay? So that now they make them seem like more realistic and have like sort of like passion and try to be more human with their responses.
All that has to do is when these bots are responding, all that has to happen is during certain parts of the day when you happen to log on for yourself that they're asked questions that they have to ask, or pick a picture or something else that confirms that you're actually
get around
there.
It though. It's like Dark Taco saying right now, YouTube is literally losing the war to bots right now. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
it's super hard to keep them out, is what I'm saying.
And I'm saying they have to get better at it, because it's not healthy.
But
there be that many bots. But it's not healthy.
Here's the thing, though. I'll do an example. Does YouTube want to get rid of them? I don't think they do.
Well, YouTube doesn't want to.
No, because they can sell.
Look, if the court cases coming up has their way, then both Google and YouTube will be broken up. And when that happens, everything comes out.
Sure.
So let's hope that Google and YouTube people win the court case, because if the monopoly court case goes through and they lose, shit's going to hit the fan.
Right. Well, here's the thing, right? So I know for a fact that people on Twitch back in the day when I was on that platform paid for bots, right? And the reason they paid for bots was not really to make themselves feel more popular, right? They were playing the game because they had to get their bots up to a certain point. And when they got to a certain point, then they got the deals from the advertisers. Then they got the deals from the other people, right? Twitch doesn't want to stop bots, because Twitch looks at it and says, well, we have this many people on the platform, and then they can get advertisers to run ads on their thing by going, we have 2 million people, right? Even though 800,000 of them are bots, it doesn't really matter, right? This is the exact same thing that's happening in video games with bots. Bots, it's a multi-million, if not billion-dollar business to sell bots, to get people to comment, to subscribe, to hit the like button, to do all these things, because people love faking it until they make it. Okay, this is what a real channel looks like, right? A struggling YouTuber trying to make a way through on YouTube. This is how it is. Okay, you get 30, you get 40. You can look at the number of subscribers to live streamers or comments per thing. You can see what a real content creator with real 3,000 people looks like, and what a fake 3,000 thing looks like. So 100% they're using bots for these movies to promote, right? If you ask me, Borderlands should have used more bots to get reviews out, okay? Because we'll talk about that travesty in a bit, okay? But yeah, there's 100% bots, and they're super hard to get rid of. And at the same time, these organizations, these companies don't want to get rid of bots, because if they did, it would make their businesses look less popular as well, right? And that's exactly what the problem is there.
But as I just stated to Krebsy, he's 100% correct. But if I have 1 million bots looking at pages that aren't real, and advertisers see that 1 million people are looking at this show and seeing their ads, then those companies are being charged for 1 million eyeballs watching those ads that aren't real, and you're charging those companies based on eyeballs that are not real, which means that's called fraud.
Yeah, no, I know what it's called.
That's called fraud. So if you think that bots are a good thing on any level, then I can't wait for the lawsuits to start. Right? You want to see YouTube implode? That's how it implodes. When companies who are paying for millions of eyeballs to watch an ad that they're paying for that aren't actually watching it, and they can prove it, they're done.
Right.
They're done. Right? I mean, I understand that people just let it roll off their back like it doesn't matter. But you need to have objective truth in reality. You need to have things be real. Right? If I'm a company and I'm trying to reach people and I'm paying you to advertise, I want to make sure that the money I'm giving you is actually being seen by actual people. If you can't prove it and you're using bots to prove it, and now I'm paying you to advertise a certain amount because, oh, we're so popular, we're gonna have to charge you more now because you're so popular.
Well, right, the conversion ratio, they'll figure it out. They'll be like, wait, I thought you had 1 million people. We didn't get a 10% return, or we didn't get a 20% return. Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so when that shit starts getting out, and no matter how you can't fake actual sales based on fake eyeballs. So listen, man, I can't wait. A matter of fact, I want most of these court cases. I want a new channel to start. I want it to be on cable. So bring some people back to cable. I want a new channel to start.
What's
and it's going to be like corporate court cases that you want to see. That's the name of the station. And all it is just company after company getting sued by everybody because of all the bullshit they're trying to pull.
All right, well,
that's how it should be.
Speaking of bullshit, here's the thing that happened a couple months ago, where Tango Gameworks, okay, who made Hi-Fi Rush, and Hi-Fi Rush won awards for the game. It was a very good game for people that played it. People that played it didn't make a lot of sales, but the people, I think they had like 2 million, 3 million people engage with the game, 4 million people engage with the game between Game Pass and buying the game. A couple months ago, it came out that Microsoft, let go of Tango Games and Arcane Studios and whatnot. It was part of that whole layoff thing that every single broadcaster person, news segment talked about how shitty Microsoft was for letting go of Tango Games and firing them and whatnot. And here we are, just a couple days ago, right? Former Xbox studio Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush have been acquired by PUBG Crafton Inc., saving it from closure. Now, my question from this is, one, obviously, did Microsoft know this was happening? And if they did, why didn't they say something ahead of time going, hey, we're actually not letting them go. We're actually looking for other buyers, right? They did this with Toys for Bob, where Toys for Bob was separated and they went off on their own type of thing, right? Why didn't they say something? Why didn't Microsoft say, yeah, we're not letting go of Tango Gameworks. We're not firing them. We're trying to look for someone else to buy the studio. Here's another weird part, though. They bought Tango Games with the IPs and stuff. So they have Evil Within. They have Ghosts of Tokyo or Ghostwire Tokyo. They had Hi-Fi Rush. Crafton comes in, says, we want to buy Tango Gameworks. And they sell them Tango Gameworks, but they keep the IP of Evil Within. They keep the IP of Ghostwire Tokyo, but they only get rid of Hi-Fi Rush, which is just really weird and strange. And on top of that, this was the one studio that Microsoft should have kept because they were looking to get more Japanese, like, population into to get them over there. This was their first studio that was from Japan. And yet, for some reason, they cut ties with the one company from Japan. So I don't know. I'm speculating here. I don't know if it goes deeper and like Japan doesn't want anything to do with Microsoft in any way, shape, or form. Maybe they were pushing back or saying something. Maybe they were going to blacklist Microsoft if you own this thing that you're... Because it's very odd to me, and again, I'm speculating, it's very odd to me that they would get rid of just this studio and just this one IP. Like, did they really hate Hi-Fi Rush this much to get rid of just this IP? Because they could have kept the IP and said, yeah, have another studio make it. They could have even sold Tango Gameworks to Krafton like they did and said, hey, we'd like to team up with you, and you could take the Hi-Fi Rush IP and make Hi-Fi Rush 2, but on your own, on your own studio, but you're not connected to us. Because they are, in this article, they're talking about, well, yeah, they're going to make Hi-Fi Rush 2, and they're also talking about that Microsoft is going to work with Krafton down the road for games. So I'm very confused why Microsoft would choose this way of saying that we're getting rid of the studio, but now they sold the studio and they sold the IP. What do you make of this?
Well, I have a couple of questions. I want to make sure because I read through the article and I heard about it for the last week or so. So did they sell the IP and the studio or just the IP?
They sold the studio and just that IP. They kept the other two IPs that the studio had, which was Evil Within and Tokyo, Ghostwire Tokyo.
All right, so that's what I originally thought. So the way I look at it is after the game had come out and it got the praise that it did, including the nominations. Right? Did it win? I forget if it won. Did it win that year?
It won some awards. It won some awards. I don't know what awards it won off the top of my head.
Right. So it got nominated and won a few awards. So in my mind, what this looks like is kind of like two things mixed together. There might have been people in upper management who had an idea for this game, who said that we can do better with this, and we just need the time. And I think the upper levels of Microsoft said, we cannot monetize this game the way we want to, so we're going to let it go because at this moment, the praise that the game has and the awards and attention that it got warranted a higher price to sell at this moment.
Sure, that could be.
We let go. So we let go of the studio and just this one IP, right? This is the deal. We let the studio go and this IP, and not only did we let it go, but we also we're going to help you anyway.
Right, we're going to help you. We're going to work with you in the future.
We're going to help you anyway because there are two friends on both sides here. Somebody knows somebody in that company, and somebody's gotten his friend in Microsoft. You understand how this works, right?
Yeah.
So we let you go. We get the money that we want up front for projects that we want, right? And we help you in the back end because we actually like you. But at this particular moment, your company is worth more sold with this IP than it is for us to keep it because we can't market you long term, right? So now what you have is you've got a partial partnership between the studio of the game that you supported, right? It got all this praise, right? And now we got paid for it. And now we see what you can actually do with it on your own, hands off. We're not there anymore, right? And we see what you can turn it into. So I'm thinking that somebody in Microsoft gave somebody, I'm drawing a blank. The name of the company?
Well, the Krafton is who bought Tango Gameworks.
Tango Gameworks.
Yep.
They're letting Tango Gameworks go off on their own, hands off, and we'll see what you can do with that IP. Now, maybe that guy's got a cross to bear. Maybe he's got something to prove. He says, I can take this game. I can make it better. And they're like, well, we can't have you on here anymore. We would rather have the money. Well, I'll tell you what. If I leave and make a sequel and it beats the first one, then you have to notice it, and or you have to some kind of deal.
Right.
And so they say, okay, even better. You're going to go hard to the paint. We'll back you up a little bit. We'll sprinkle a little sugar your way, and we'll see how you do.
Well, here's the thing, though, right?
That's what it seems like to me,
Well, here's the thing. People are speculating now. Wouldn't it be funny if Hi-Fi Rush 2 comes out, but they don't put it on the Xbox, right? They keep it away from Xbox.
They could.
Yeah, and people are speculating maybe that will happen in the future. I don't know. I just think it's weird that Microsoft went out of their way to say, hey, we're getting rid of Tango Gameworks. And then here's a couple months later, all of a sudden they're like, no, we sold Tango Gameworks to another company. And we also gave them Hi-Fi Rush. It's like Hi-Fi Rush specifically like said something about their mother. And they're like, we can't have that. We can't have Hi-Fi Rush talking about my mother. We're selling them. And like, it's just weird to me that Microsoft took the lumps. And now they're like, yeah, no, we're selling it to Krafton, and undisclosed amount too. We don't know what they sold it for.
Right.
Think about that for a second.
But
we know about the Activision deal for $70 billion, but we don't know what they sold this to Krafton for.
Yeah, but I can guarantee you the number is what they wanted. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sold it.
Sure.
So they got the number that they wanted for that studio.
Maybe there is no money. Maybe they're like, look, you take it, but we get Hi-Fi Rush too. We just need it off the books. Right?
I mean, do you think the game was as good as it was talked about?
I'm sorry, say again.
Do you think that game is as good as it was when it was talked about? Like, do you think it was as good as they said it was?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great game. It was a well-designed game, very good gameplay, very good art style, very good story.
Different.
It was different. Yeah, everything about that game screamed, make a game, sell a game. Right? Make a game, sell a game, but apparently it just didn't, right? Yeah, it's really good. Travis says that I can't pronounce his name, Sinji, who made Hi-Fi Rush, called Phil Spencer cancer. That's why. Yeah, but he left before the game. Like, when they got bought out, he left, right? So is the guy, Sinji, was he the owner of the company, or was he just the CEO of the company? Did he create the game? Like, what? I would have to know more about that whole scenario that was happening, right? I don't know. It's just very strange the way it went down.
And I'm sure he called Phil Spencer cancer probably because corporate world, right, doesn't do well with the art world. And Hi-Fi Rush is an Hi-Fi Rush is an art game. It's something different and unique, and they were going for creativity. Spencer and his corporate guys, even though they want to have fun with kids and they preach about it all the time, if your game doesn't fit into a box that they can market, then they are scared to keep it because they don't know what to do with it, right? They're not in the business of make a game, sell a game. They're in the business of reoccurring spending in a game with active engagement.
Right.
Like,
make a pile of
about games.
Right. It's not make a game, sell a game. It's make a half-ass shitty game that's broken, buggy, but it has microtransactions to keep engagement. It doesn't roll off the tongue as good as make a game, sell a game, though.
So I believe 100% that Sinji might have called Phil Spencer cancer into the art world. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did, because if he's part of the old world of gaming, which is you collaborate with a bunch of guys to come up with a product that fits what you guys envisioned, instead of trying to fit your square peg into a round hole, right? You make the game that you want to make, right? That's how we say this about every 6 weeks. That's the kind of people you want. You want a guy who says, this is the game we're making. This is our idea. This is our vision. This is what we're doing. And then when the game comes out, you go, let's hope there's a market for this. We're trying. We're seeing if we have a market for this type of game. Did it have a market? And maybe, just maybe, by watching the award shows that we did, that it got the praise that it did, maybe people in the upper echelons of the company and the review process, and I review in quotes, gave it the legs it needed to stand on in order to be noticed, so it was nominated. So a game that was more individual and artsy and put near all the corporate stuff, that it got noticed that way, right? That's how that works. Somebody actually cared enough to actually push them a little further up so they would actually get noticed. And now, because they got noticed, you were able to work out this backdoor deal in which this guy gets to actually complete his game in the same fashion he wanted to do it the first time.
Well, if it goes back to, I don't think Sinji's with the other company. It's just the IP and the company moved over to that one.
But it's fine. The battle was to be able to do it on your own.
Well, they have the freedom that they can make a sequel now, basically. Yeah.
But is he still there?
No, it's a completely, he left the company, and then Tango, now they might hire him for that company, but it's a separate company. Yeah.
But it falls to the same category as he said his piece. He had left, he stepped down himself, and then everybody else who was there still realizes the vision he's talking about and are now able to follow his vision, not under corporate scrutiny.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, they went from one corporate to another, so. Not as big. Not as big.
Right.
All right. The next one I want to talk about, because this is a big story. The Verge, right? The Verge, they played, and Forbes article here talks about the Verge is under fire for publishing info about Deadlock, Valve's secret shooter. Now, Deadlock is this new hero shooter that's out there. There's a whole nother article talking about, does Steam have a monopoly in the way they're doing certain things? Was this planned as far as advertising it and whatnot? There's like 23,000 people playing this secret game that nobody knew about, just a word of mouth going around. Okay. But what the story that we're covering is The Verge is a organization that writes articles and whatnot about the industry. Tom Warren, who says that he is not a journalist, said it himself on a podcast. And then there's the other person that's in this. Let me see. I forget the guy's name. There's Tom Warren. And what was the other gentleman's name? I don't think Paul says it. His name. Oh, Sean Holster. Okay. So Sean Holster got an invite to play the game and publish information about what he played. Now, in what he saw, there's a I don't know if they show the actual document here. There's a document that they show, but they don't show here. But in bold print, there's a screen. It said, "Do not, warning." And then it says, "Early development build. Deadlock is still early in development with a lot of temporary art and experimental gameplay. Do not share anything about the game with anyone." Now, Paul Tassi doesn't show the actual thing on screen. He just writes it out and says what it said. Underneath that, it says one button, and it says okay. Okay, and below that, it says, "Don't show this message again." You can check the box, so next time you log into the game, it doesn't show you that again. Now, Sean Holster didn't hit okay. He hit escape, and the screen closed down, okay? And then he proceeded where he could still play the game, okay? So he read what he read, right? Just like I just read what it said. And he decided morally that as a journalist for a company, that he was going to continue to play this game now, go forward, playing the game, even though he didn't agree to it legally, okay? That he was now going to record and then stream and then put 20 minutes of content up on his YouTube channel and then also write an article talking about this. And then on top of that, Tom Warren also did the same thing. Now, there's two sides to this. The journalists are taking the journalist sides. There's people that are Valve fans, and the fans are taking Valve's side. Not that it fucking matters if the journalists are taking journalist side and the fans are taking Steam side or vice versa. What matters here is that Valve and Steam, okay, what they do with Tom Warren and The Verge, okay? And I don't know how that's going to pan out if they banned him or not. I haven't looked further into the story. But my question to you, Sarge, is that there was no NDA. There was no EULA to hit okay with, but that screen that popped up, now it is Valve's problem because they forgot to, when someone hits escape, the screen doesn't pop back up. It just backs out and you can just ignore it and then continue to play the game. But as a creator, as a writer, as a journalist, as a blogger, whatever, do you think morally that there's something broke here, an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to do? Because again, they didn't sign an NDA, but they did read it. They did read the thing that said, "Do not talk about this game, do not share this game, do not mention this game," and yet he did the opposite of that.
I can't believe we're actually talking about this.
I know.
Okay. First of all, it's a legalized contract that went out with the actual game. It's a legalized contract.
Just reading it.
Or the contract went out with the game. Just because you hit escape doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right? So the contract went out with the game because of some kind of glitch or whatever. You hit escape and you were able to bypass the contract, which is
right. That's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Right.
So you basically intentionally read the contract, decided to get around it, and then decided to go ahead and publicize the information, even though you knew everybody else who got the contract had to sign it to get it, and you thought you were exempt from it because of some type of glitch. You think a glitch in the process of a contract negates you from being liable for it. Here's the answer. You're done. You don't get any more copies. You don't get to read any more articles. You get no more information from us. You're blackballed. You're done. And as far as I'm concerned, if he's hired by anybody else, they should fire him. That's the end.
Yeah,
you're done.
I agree.
You're done.
I agree that I don't know if he gets fired.
What are we talking about?
I don't know if he gets fired. You just have to get somebody else to cover the gaming news now for Valve or Steam.
He's like, no, if he's working for anybody, they're supposed to let him go.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is because if Valve and Steam take action, and again, they might have, and I haven't seen the news yet. Okay, if they take action, if I was Valve and Steam, those two journalists would never get to play any of our games again. Now, it's not really a big deal for Steam because they don't really come out with a lot of games, right? It's like one every decade or so. But my point still stands that these people would never get any access to any of our games again. They would be blacklisted. They'd be done. Okay, and then Verge, if they cared, these two people broke something. And then now Verge can't cover anything that Steam or Valve is doing, right?
Which means the Verge would let them go.
Correct. And then the Verge would let them go. Now,
that's how it works.
People might think I'm being too harsh and Sarge is being too harsh, but that's
not being harsh.
I feel
it's not a moral question.
Correct.
It's a contractual obligation.
I feel
not moral.
I feel like if somebody else that's not a journalist did the exact same thing that they did, okay, and leaked the information and did his YouTube channel and showed 20 minutes of footage, and then The Verge then talked about that, I think is fine. But because the journalists, the bloggers, the influencers, whatever you want to call it, because they are the source, they are ground zero, there's a moral thing that they've crossed there, and they completely ruined what they did, right? At least that's the way I look at it. Again, if they're a news source and they're covering the news, cool. But when the person is the news that works for your station, you've crossed a line and you're no longer a journalist, a blogger thing. You are a person that's a leaker now. You are a person that is the other people that you report on, and now you're doing the same thing. I don't think they should do it, which is sad because this doesn't say anything about their work in the past. They just made a bad judgment call here, and they could cost the Verge money because they can't cover certain things now.
That's not even the case. You have grown adults who think that pressing escape to circumvent an NDA or an EULA is tangible evidence for you not to follow the contract that you were given. These are grown adults.
Well, in their words, it wasn't a contract. It was just a thing on the screen, and they hit escape and they backed out.
I'm sorry. If it was only given to them, you could use that excuse.
Right.
But it was given to everybody. So everybody had the same thing, right? You can't take your instance and circumvent the contract that you were given in order to look at the information.
I agree. You read it. You read it.
This is not even something we should be discussing. They're done. You lose your job. You're blackballed. And that's the consequences for you thinking that you're going to circumvent a contract. That's how your brain works.
Right. Well, Akuta Papa says, 30, as someone who's been doing this for years, what you see is what should happen. The screen was a legal NDA. Correct. And even if it wasn't, Steam has every right, Valve has every right to ban whoever they want that breaks the thing they did or didn't sign or hit OK on. Okay. Now, I think harsh punishment is it, because that's how you learn your lesson. I just think The Verge, this would be interesting if The Verge, I don't think they will fire them in any way, shape, or form.
They should.
I know they should, but
because you have those are the type of people you have working for you. That's the first question I have.
Right.
Those are
the integrity of your whole business then goes out the window because you're like, oh, well, how can I listen to what you're saying? Is this real? Are you reporting something? Now, here's another story we're going to cut to from this because the two are connected. Okay. So let me pull this up for a second. Let me see if I can find it. It was let me go back to Discord. So this is a rumor. It's 100% a rumor. Okay. Now, I don't know if the actual source got this from him, but inside his source, and chat, correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't like the person that's tweeting it. Okay. But inside his tweet, he tags Tom Warren. Okay. So I'm assuming that Tom Warren said this somewhere, shape, or form. Now, I haven't done the research because someone posted this right before the show, and I decided to go with it, so preemptive that. I don't like the Twitter account, Goat Gaming, okay? But he says, breaking, Tom Warren of The Verge, the person that we just talked about that also didn't sign the NDA and decided to play the game and talk about it. The Verge is claiming that the PlayStation 5 Pro has been canceled because of an $899 price tag. Rising costs has complicated things for Sony recently at PlayStation. I'll stop it there because the rest of the line is just garbage anyway. Okay, because one doesn't have anything to do with the other. My conversation for you, Sarge, is not if Tom Warren's breaking this or anything, is just off that price. Because I actually said a couple of months ago...
It's allegedly, it's not fact.
Correct. I said a couple of months ago that the next console would probably be $1,000. And people laughed it off and said there's no way they would pick $1,000. Right? And then I went into the scalping thing that they raised the price during COVID and whatnot. But let's just say that the PlayStation 5 Pro is $899, $900. What do you think of that?
I mean, if it is...
If it is 900,
if it is, well, if we look at the rising costs of hardware and what's been going on recently, and if you're a pro model, what kind of video card it's got to have in there, right? So I'm thinking that if it's a ballpark number, let's just say it's not fact, let's say it's them guessing, right? It still says to me that they're not able to sell a console to the masses. You're basically selling a console to the elite. The guys who want the best thing are the ones who are going to get it anyway.
Right.
So only someone who's diehard PlayStation and only someone that bleeds blue will buy a Pro at that level.
Well, here's why I think they'll pick that price if the price is true. Okay. No, I understand, Reese. That's why I'm not going. But he says Tom Warren said this. And this is why we're looking at that. I don't like the Twitter account. I understand who that person is, and okay, but he tagged Tom Warren's name in there. And like I said, so if Tom Warren said it, regardless if he said it or not, we're not saying if Tom Warren said it. We're just basing it off this conversation off if PlayStation 5 Pro is $900. So get Goat Gaming out of the conversation. Get Tom Warren out of the conversation. We're just focusing in on if the PlayStation 5 Pro is $900. So the way I look at it, Sarge, is that if people keep buying microtransactions, companies keep putting more microtransactions in there, right? If
they eat the cost,
Correct. PlayStation knows that they charge $500 for their console. They charge another $500 for their PSVR 2. They charge $200 for the Portal. Okay, so they know the clientele that they're working with because they've already spent $1,200, $1,300 on those three things themselves, right? So now you're talking to the people. We know like 2 million people, maybe let's just say 4 million people bought that. Okay, bought those three things inside the PlayStation ecosystem. They bought the system, they bought the headset, they bought the Portal. Okay, let's just say 4 million people bought it. You could double that, if not triple that, as saying that 8 million people to 10 million people bought a console at that price because now it's $900 just for that console itself. You see what I'm saying? Because they bought those three pieces of thing, right? So that would make it where if the console was $500, double that because now it's $1,000 because that's what they spent on that hardware.
You already know that the hardware that they sell is at a loss. We already
know
this.
And this is why they're raising the price.
So whether or not they decide if they're making a decent money on the back end of their MTXs inside their Game Pass version of PlayStation, then they're probably okay eating some of the costs. But it reaches a certain point where if you're going to be eating partial costs anyway, and you know what percentage of your loyal customer base will actually buy this thing, then they can set the price of what they want it to be because they know they'll get that money for it.
Yeah, but then here's the next question. If the next console goes to $900. Now, obviously, people paid $1,000 during COVID to get the PlayStation 5 regular one. Okay, they paid $1,200.
That's scalp prices. Those are
sure.
Scalp prices.
What would this scalp price be? You know there's coming. What, $2,000?
I mean, if you're ordering it, if you're saying that's a pre-order thing that you want to get like if they turned it into this is the Pro, we want you to pre-order that type of thing.
That's what they're going to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Well, then I think they're going to get the number they want anyway.
So, well, my next question is that worth it? It's still this generation of a console.
The one we have now isn't worth it.
That's my point. So is PlayStation this crazy?
I don't own a PlayStation 5, but what I will ask this question to the PlayStation people. Do you guys have a game currently right now that is a true 9th generation game that goes along with your PS5? Do you have one?
I think there's a few on PlayStation 5.
Because Microsoft does not.
Yeah, no, there's a few games on it, but
so
they do the upscale or whatever they're doing.
Have.
I'm just thinking, is someone going to pay $900 to play Spider-Man 3? Is someone going to spend majority not a lot. Are $900 going to pay for God of War 3? Is that an insane price, and does that set the standard of what the next thing is? Do they? I mean, if the Switch comes out at a third of that price with the Switch 2 and it's $350, right? Like, what are they coming out with? The systems right now, this generation system is underwhelming. And now coming out with a $900 system as the tail end of this system, of this generation, is, I think, a little crazy.
But that sets the stage, right? But that's when you do something like this, though, that sets the stage of you saying, okay, this is how much the consoles are going to cost. So what will the next console cost?
Right. What's the 10th generation going to cost?
Then you say to yourself, well, I didn't get any games for this one. So should I really be buying another console from Sony, or should I just get a PC? Or if between the time that the PS Pro comes out and the next console comes out, PlayStation comes out with their version of the dongle and their service and their thing and their cloud, right? And so that you think that I create the problem, sell the solution in a big way. Well, do you want the PlayStation dongle for $25 a month and play all the games you want? Or do you want to buy the next system, which is probably going to cost you $950? Because that's just what it costs.
Robert.
Right? So
I was going to say, Robert Jones says, the real question is, I'm sorry. Robert Jones says, PlayStation 5 doesn't have a little brother holding it back.
Agreed.
But it does now.
Agreed.
It would now. It would have the PlayStation 5, which is holding back the PlayStation 5 Pro. Because now you're making games, and they will enhance it for the PlayStation 5 Pro.
No, you're thinking about it wrong. A PlayStation Pro that comes out is never because they're trying to make new games because of the Pro. The PlayStation Pro comes out because you get to run the game the way you want it to, and all the games run on the PS5. You're thinking it's a different console. It's not.
Well, no, they would have to
version.
Sure, but what is it enhancing that this PlayStation 5 said that it was going to do already? 8K. 120 frames per second.
Graphic fidelity and speed, FPS speed, probably. Right? A few seconds off, shaved off of load times and whatnot. But people who want tech are going to get the tech, period. But now you decide, if I set the price for a PlayStation Pro for not fictitious number, guys, we're not talking facts. I want to make sure everyone here doesn't clip this together like we're trying to make shit up. If the alleged price of $900, you said $950?
$900, $899.
The official price of a PlayStation Pro is around $900. Then my sentence to you is, they're going to see right away who they have and who they don't.
Yeah.
Right? They'll know. They'll know exactly who that is. Right? And then at that point, who orders the Pro? They'll know exactly which direction to go from there. Because they're going to say, okay, if we have this many people that
25% of our population bought the Pro.
Right. So then we know that what are we going to spend on the next console, and what are we going to do about this dongle? Because if we get this, we get all these people.
I think if they're going to cost that much, they better throw in that headset. They better throw in a PlayStation VR 3 headset or something to make that price. Because if you bought the PlayStation, you bought the VR headset, it's $1,000. So if the console comes out, the Pro is just $900 by itself. I think they're gonna have issues.
All right. So real quick, Salty, just curious. Like, is there, once again, I do not own a PlayStation 5. Right? Do you own or have played a 9th generation game for your 9th generation system? Do you guys have a game that warrants that system? Yes or no? That's what I want to know.
I mean, it could be Ratchet and Clank, right? It could be God of War. No, because those games all run except Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank runs on PlayStation 5 only. It's not on PlayStation 4. God of War is on PlayStation 4. All the other games are running on PlayStation 4. I think they have 2 games, maybe 3 games that are just meant for PlayStation 5 for the power that it has. I'm pretty sure.
I'm just curious.
Because no, I know. I'm trying to think. I'm
pretty sure in both camps, the 9th generation, for as of right now, is a snooze fest for games of this generation. There is not games made for the 9th generation that are for the 9th generation system. They are running on the 9th generation system, but they're also running on a PlayStation 4 or Xbox Series S. It's not a 9th generation game.
Here's my thing. Across the board, Sony guys that are out there that have the PlayStation, like Sarge is asking, it's been out for 4 years. Do you have more than 4 games, one a year, that is meant for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 only? If it's just one game a year, I think that's pretty sad. I'll be honest with you. Right? And I'm not putting any shade to them. I'm asking a question. Do you have more than one game per year that is meant just for the PlayStation 5? Travis says we have 6. That's still sad, right? That's 6 games in 4 years.
Well, we don't know what Travis's brain is thinking of, what he believes a 9th generation game is. I'm afraid to ask.
Nate says we got 5, right? So 5 or 6, that's still a really low number to have a system. Right now, at what they said it was supposed to be, and you have 5, you can count on one hand, 5 games that are just for PlayStation 5.
Listen, I'm just curious because when I look at this, I just keep saying to myself, I'm still waiting for the game for this system, right? We all know Xbox issue, right?
But yeah, Xbox got the same thing. This generation doesn't have
what's PlayStation's issue? You don't have an S. You don't have the PlayStation little S. You don't have that shit.
Right. You have nothing holding it back.
Right. This is what I'm saying.
The only thing holding it back is people not buying PlayStation 5s. And that's why there's more people playing on PlayStation 4. That's the biggest problem right now. Right?
It's a weird generation, man, because usually when the whole point of coming out with a new system is you are ready to ball out with games that are running on this system. The reason why I want to buy the 9th generation system, show me the games that makes me want to spend the money for a PlayStation 5. That's all I'm saying. Right? But Robert, I agree with you. But this is why we have this battle every few weeks, because you guys know it and I know it, but some of you still fight it. But you guys think that consoles are going to go on forever, and the answer is they're not, because we talked about it in the past, and it just keeps getting closer now, where a console and a PC are almost touching tips. You know what I'm saying? Like once that happens, you're going to get a dongle and pay a service fee, or you're going to get a fucking PC. Now, everybody keeps thinking that I'm going to buy a PC. I can't afford $2,500 for a PC. Nobody can afford a $2,500 PC. But let's be honest, guys. You're not handing out $2,500 for the PC. How many companies now you finance the PC, right? You put $400 down or $500 down, and you're paying $50 a month, and you pay off the thing in 3 years. That's what everybody's doing now if you can't afford the machine anyway. And by the way, if the cards need to be upgraded, you just buy the new card along the way, shove it into your machine.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like someone's coming up to you and going, "Hey, buddy, $2,500 for a PC, otherwise you're left out of the 9th generation."
Well, that's another thing, right? So now Sony games, obviously they're not coming day and date as of right now for their single player games, but they're coming out for PC, right? So you got a PlayStation 5 for $900, couple $100 more, you can get yourself a decent PC, right? Which is more powerful than the Sony PlayStation, and then you're going to get the games that come out down the road anyway, right? I don't know. I hope Sony's not this crazy to put a $900 PlayStation out there, especially during this economy.
Well, it's not like they didn't do it before. Remember the PlayStation 3?
It was like $600 back then when everything else was $300. Yeah, no, I get it. Right? It just seems a little crazy considering the times that we live in right now, and you're spending $900 for a PlayStation. But we'll see. We'll see if it actually comes true and fruition or whatnot. So, speaking of consoles, right? One of the things that came up, it's not really an article, but he asked a question from the gamer. It says, should Sega rejoin the console wars? Okay. Now, obviously, when people talk about Sega, we love Sega Genesis, right? There was the Master System, there's Sega Genesis. Sega Dreamcast back in the day was way ahead of its time, okay? It was way ahead of its time. They basically priced themselves out of the market, and they didn't have the internet to fall back on like Game Pass does with Microsoft, okay? So question to you, Sarge, and chat. Do you think Sega, based on what the gamer's asking here, should Sega throw their hat back in the ring and maybe team up? Maybe they team up with like Apple. Maybe they team up with Google. Maybe they team up with Amazon, and they make a Sega system again. Do you think they should throw their hat back in the ring?
I think Krebsy said it best.
Just in case people don't know what Krebsy said, Krebsy's. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Krebsy said, "Fuck no,
no,
fuck no,
absolutely not." Do you actually believe that Sega has enough liquidity to come into the market right now to battle it out with what's going on in the industry right now? You're going to come out with a console and games that people want to play, and you think you're going to put your foot into the ring? You're out of your mind, bro. You're out of your mind. At the very least, they should make a game for the systems that are out there to work up some money before you think you're going to make a system.
Yeah.
We are at the precipice of them deciding whether or not there's going to be a console, right? They're leaning towards dongles and PCs, and you think Sega's going to jump into the pool to make a splash with Sega? Come on, man. Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. If Sega makes top 3 selling games in the next 5 years, I'll give them a 10% chance that they can come back as a system. Otherwise than that, fuck no, dude.
I don't think they can make a system. I basically Sega came back and it was the Google Stadia, basically, is what it was, right? The Google Stadia was what would happen if Sega came out with a system. I don't think they could survive in the market. I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough of the market to go around. There's a saturation point in the console market. Okay, and that saturation is 300 million. Okay, 300 million is that number, and that's across the board for all consoles, not just Sony, not just Xbox, not just Nintendo. That's the market. 300 million.
Do you really believe it's only 300 million? I think
is.
It's a little higher than that.
It is not. You can go look at all the sales numbers of all the consoles across the board from beginning to end. It's I'm actually giving them an additional 30 million. Okay, it's usually around 270 million.
Didn't it bump up a little bit? I mean, we've been playing games for a long time.
I'm giving it 300 million is what consoles. Now, there's also overlap with that, right? Some people that own an Xbox own
multiple systems and
vice versa. Okay, that's a saturation point. Hence why the best system ever is closing in on 200 million. Okay, and Switch is at 160, I think, or 170. Okay, whatever it is. So Sega would come in. It would be like 8 million, 10 million.
It'd be like Atari.
Right. It would be like the rebranding of Atari type of stuff, right?
Like Atari, yeah.
I could see Sega doing something crazy, right? I could see them coming out with like a handheld device with all like the Sega games, just Sega games loaded on the fucking device. You know what I mean? Something like that. But I don't see them getting into the market, going up head to head with I see them coming out with like a stocking stuffer type of thing more than a head to head competition with PlayStation, Nintendo, and Microsoft.
I mean, Nintendo alone would crush them with their pinky. Like Nintendo would go like this to Sega, and they push them off the fucking building with their pinky. Like they'd be, just no, bro, no. What? Listen, if you want to piss money away for no reason, go open a homeless shelter. At least you'll be feeling good about yourself, Sega. Like Sega's first homeless shelter. We spent $3.2 billion on a building that opened up for a year and then closed down, but at least you fed a bunch of people. Right. Yeah. You would start a Sega company with a couple of games. You would sell shit, and it'd just be bunch of
Sega games sell well, but I don't think a console would sell very well.
No.
Right. Especially if PlayStation comes out with their $900 console. Right. All right.
Sega would come out with their $847 console to beat PlayStation.
Are you okay to go a little long? Because there's 3 stories I want to cover. It's 10 o'clock.
All right.
Okay. One of them is Borderlands. Last week. Oh, real quick, we have a check-in. We have a check-in. Right?
Oh, the check-in.
We have a check-in. We wanted to make sure, is Pete Parsons still at Bungie? Yep.
The answer
is yes. He's still at Bungie. 2 weeks later, after the whole debacle.
Yeah. So all these people who are like, he's gotta go down. Yep. He's gotta go down.
He's got it.
Still there, kids.
Yep. Still there.
Still there.
Is Pete Parsons still at Bungie? Yes, he is. There you go. Okay, so there you go. Pete Parson is still at Bungie. All right, so the next story I want to talk about is Borderlands. Right, Borderlands. Last week we talked about it. We talked about this movie's going to bomb, and then we were talking about how low can it go. Okay, it's like limbo. Borderlands is like we got this. We can go really low. Okay, Sarge said 18 million. Okay, Sarge said $18 million for the opening weekend. Okay. And I said on the stream, I was like, I don't think it'll make less than 46. I said it would have to beat the Marvels, which is really bad, right? $200 million budget for the Marvels, and it made $46 million for its opening weekend. Here we are 7 days after it came out, Sarge, and the grand total for Borderlands right now, worldwide, mind you, up until Wednesday, okay, is 15 million worldwide. Okay, worldwide. Now, you said 18 domestically. Okay. And even if we throw in worldwide with that, you still are over, which is insanity. Okay. I actually checked it on Sunday. I looked at my local theater, and my local theater only had one showing. They got rid of the other 3 showings from Friday and Saturday, and they only had one theater playing it on Sunday. Okay. And then I looked at another theater that had 4 theaters playing, a 1 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, and an 8 o'clock. And they had a grand total of 18 people in that theater. Okay. 18 people total in that theater. So the average on Friday was $1,260 per theater out of 3,125 theaters. By the time Wednesday came around, or I should say Monday came around, they were averaging $214 per theater, and Wednesday it averaged $100.71. Okay, there's microtransactions that are making more, okay, than what this is making per theater. Okay, so the grand total is 15.4 million worldwide. This is bad, so bad that Take-Two says Strauss Zelnick, who we talked about earlier in the show, he says he's still holding hope out for hope for Borderlands movie. Let's give the film a chance. Okay, let's give the film a chance. This is on August 9th. Okay, now he says the Borderlands film. He says, look, the Borderlands film sucks. It sucks bad, and it's likely that it comes to zero surprise to anyone. Okay, Zelnick himself says, let's give the film a chance. A lot of people worked really hard on this. Now, mind you, I want to let you know, I'm a person that used to work in the film industry, as I normally tell people. Okay, because people think I'm full of shit when I talk about stuff like this. I worked in the film industry. It doesn't matter if we worked hard on the film or not. I got my check. I get my day rate, and I go home at the end of the night, and I put my head on the pillow, and I sleep just fine because I got my money. Okay? Sure, I got to wait 60 days afterwards, 90 days afterwards to get paid. Sometimes you get paid at the end of the job. Okay? But you get paid. You know you're getting paid. Don't let any fucking suit tell you, well, give it a chance. We had a lot of people work really hard on this. We don't lose sleep. We show up, we do the job, we go home, or we go to the next shoot. We go make commercials, we go do, whatever we need to do. Okay? So don't let these suits tell you, well, you really got to support this because you got to support the devs. There's no devs here. There's not working the workers here. Just like when you support the devs, you're not supporting the devs. You're supporting the big wigs up on top in their sofas with their Pete Parson. You're supporting Pete Parson, okay? Because those people make the money after the fact of the product when it's done, okay? Everyone else got paid, okay? So this is so bad. I'm not going to go over the whole Randy Pitchford thing, Sarge, but Randy Pitchford has lost his mind throughout this last week, going off on people.
It's been a long time since I saw a full-grown adult have a meltdown on Twitter.
Right, but did you see it? Did you watch it? If so, can you tell me about it? Okay? He thinks that casting doesn't mean anything. I can't believe that people like casting and of age and also height is a big thing. Yeah, that's what casting is, right? If I'm going to play Gary Coleman in Different Strokes live action film, okay,
Shaq, first guy
right?
I would pick. Is
right,
Shaq.
You're not picking Shaquille O'Neal to play Gary Coleman.
Yeah, Shaq all the way.
Okay,
what are you talking about?
Right, what are you talking about, Randy? Okay, so what do you think about this whole thing with, first of all, Borderlands bombing as bad as it has, and then 2, Randy Pitchford. That's it.
I thought I was 3 million short on my total, not 3 million under. When
Yeah.
you told me I was $3 million under, I couldn't believe it that I picked under.
Yeah, when I told you you're like 8.8 and you're like, is that just for today? I'm like, no, that's total 8.8 domestically, and actually went lower. It went to 8.6 because they redistributed what the money was, right?
I said 18 for opening weekend, and I can't believe I was 3 billion over. Like it. First of all, I could see why Randy takes things personal because I'm sure it was his baby. He worked a lot of years on Borderlands series, and he wanted it to do well. And I'm pretty sure the reason why he was kicked off the set multiple times is because he was trying to tell them to do it like the video game and not do this other shit that they were trying to do. Guaranteed. Right. Guaranteed that's what was happening. Because let's be honest, if you were going to make a video game movie, right? It's not like this one is so shitty in the story department that you don't know what's going on in the game. Like, the game actually has a story. And if you guys have played Borderlands, you know that story in the game can pretty much be modified to be an actual screenplay for an actual movie. Right. It's not like it's that far off. It's an actual movie in the game.
Well, he actually said this to somebody. He's like, so do you guys share the same sentiment? You would like to see like the adaptation of the actual game back into a movie?
I mean, but it makes sense.
Yes.
Right. So if let's look at it this way. If the fear of the studio, which is normally it's a lot because they know that if they do a video game movie, there's a lot of risk involved, right? So you know the talk around the circular table because you know that they want everyone to be equal. They don't use square tables anymore in Hollywood. I don't know if you guys do that. But they use round tables now. This way, everybody's equal, right? So at the round table, when they were asking, what are we going to do with this movie? They said, well, it's based on a video game, and I don't even know what the fuck it is. So if we're going to sell a video game movie...
it's called Border something.
Yeah, Border something. And if we're going to do a video game movie, then we need to have names. If we don't get names in this movie, we're not going to sell any tickets, because I have no idea what this game is. So my question is...
Give me a name. Give me a name. Who do you should be it?
Like, why would you want to do the movie as a video game movie, but then use nothing like the actual video game? So let me cut myself short. If I want the guys who bought the game to go watch the movie, then just make the movie about the video game, right?
Right.
If you're trying to reach an audience, and this is the part that scares me the worst. If you're gonna try to reach an audience that doesn't even know what the fucking game is. Like, they don't even know what it is.
They don't even know it exists.
You're just trying to sell a movie that looks like Mad Max, but it's kind of goofy looking, and you have this Sesame Street cast thrown into it. Somebody on the outside of the video game looks at this and goes, I don't even know what the fuck this is. So according to the suits, they thought that someone saw Kevin Hart in the desert. They were like, it's Kevin Hart in the desert. It's going to be fantastic. Like, that's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. So all you had to do was try to ring in the 8 or 9 million people that actually watch Borderlands and make $50 million. Take the loss. You're going to still take the loss, but you would have sold $50-60 million, right? Now, if they had gone full bore into the video game, especially Borderlands 2 story, I guess you would have made about 30 said higher. He said it would have made about $100 million.
No, I said more than that. I said more.
You said more?
I said more.
You think that if they had followed the Borderlands 2 story with a decent cast, that they would have got over $100 million? Are
you talking about opening weekend or total?
What's total?
Okay, total. Yeah, total. Yeah, I think this movie.
So you think so?
Yeah, I think this movie would have made around $400 to $500 million if they made a Borderlands movie. Yes, 100%.
Okay, all right. So, do you have one more story to go over?
No. Well, we have the Deadpool.
Insert this in here. Okay,
we have the Deadpool
So those of you that are still in chat, if you're part of the Discord, okay, you're part of the Discord, okay. What we're gonna do is this, right? I want you guys to take your time. Don't go crazy, right? If you want to be involved in this,
Sarge is making more work for me. I got it. Go ahead.
It's not more work. They just type it in Discord. You're not doing any contests like that. Okay. I want to see what they pick.
Okay.
Right? Anybody who's involved, go to Discord, and I want you to take the cast of characters from Borderlands 2, the game, not the movie, Borderlands 2, the game, and I want you to pick out the cast of that game. Pick out the cast, put your guys' names of what you want for the cast, the main characters. You could put a few side characters if you've got some people that are good, but main characters, and put them in Discord, right? And let's just see if just a rabble of people who understand what Borderlands 2 is could pick out anyone better to be the characters in the goddamn movie, right? Borderlands 2.
I'll make a channel. Okay, and I'll call it the Borderlands casting couch. Okay, it'll be the casting couch for Borderlands 2, the sequel. Okay, and we'll put the things in there, and then you guys put in what you guys think the cast should be, right? And put who you guys think. Obviously, we'll laugh about it. We'll show it next week. We'll show it next week on the stream. Who you guys thought should play these characters?
Wait, should we do the movie? Or should we do Borderlands 2? Should we do the movie or Borderlands 2?
Well, we could do We'll just do Borderlands. Just do Borderlands.
The movie.
Yeah, the movie. Who you would cast in those casts instead of the people that they did?
Okay, all right. So better yet, you guys pick the cast of the movie that just happened, the shit fest that just happened. You pick the main characters and put in the actor and actresses.
Yeah, who would have put in there? Yeah.
Yes, who would have been in there?
Okay. I think if you've taken the story what it was, right? Borderlands 2 sold 20 million copies, 25 million copies or whatever it was, right? Borderlands 3 sold 18 million copies. If you just capitalized on the Borderlands fans, Sarge, just the Borderlands fans, you would have made $200 million. Just off them alone.
If you went after the actual fans,
right?
Of
just
the game.
after actual fans, based off of the people that bought Borderlands 2. Okay, the fans that were like Borderlands, and then 20 million people, $10, it's $200 million just for that. Okay, they would have made their money back for what the budget was, right? On top of that, you would have got people like, oh wow, this is entertaining. People that didn't know about it would then be fans of the movie, and then those people might overcross to go play the game, and you make more money on that part. I think this movie would have made at least $400 million. I think it would have been a much better thing. But these fuckers don't know what the fuck they were doing with this brand. They don't know what they were doing with the thing. It makes no sense to me. Even Randy Pitchford at one point said, "Oh, well, you're saying that I forget the words he said, but." Someone said that the games were better than the movie. He goes, well, I did the games, so that's a compliment to me. And it's like, no, Randy, it's not a compliment. You took something that people loved and then shit all over it for the film, okay? And you're responsible for this because you sold the name of Borderlands to make the film, and the movie's shittier than what the game is.
But we all know what a narcissist Randy is. I'm telling you, he tried to save it, but they wouldn't let him. They kicked him off. I'm telling you, he wanted them to follow the Unity game.
Yeah, no, I know, but
you know how crazy he is about the game.
Even when he's a
narcissist.
Even when he was on the Game Awards show a couple years ago, when he was showing behind the scenes, he's like, "Hey guys," he walked behind the scene. It looked like everybody that was there didn't know who he was or didn't want him on set. Just on that alone. And then I heard things on the back end because I have people that worked in the industry tell me stuff, and I was just like, not surprising. Okay. So, the last story, besides, there's Deadpool. Deadpool broke a whole bunch of records, but we don't need to talk about that. I talked about that earlier. The last story I want to talk about is a little downer. It's fucking crazy. I want to bring it up, okay, is about Disney, okay? Disney, all right, we're on a little sad note here at the end here, okay, but it's also fucking nuts because of how this is working out, okay? So Disney says a man can't sue over his wife's death because he agreed to Disney Plus terms of service. Let that sink in there for a second. Okay, I'll tell.
This is not a story from The Onion.
Yeah, this is not a fake story. This is a real story. And I'm gonna tell you that. Okay, so his wife, okay, she consumed some food containing allergies at a restaurant in Disney World, which is actually Disney Springs. So mind you, that they went to go sit down for dinner. Him and his wife, okay? They're at Disney Springs, and they ask you, because they do. I've been there. I've been at the restaurants. They ask you, any food allergies? And you tell them, no, we don't have any food allergies, or you do have food allergies. And they are supposed to be adults, but maybe they did what Tom Warren did in them. They just backed out of the okay. They just escaped, and they didn't pay attention, right? But they had food allergies. They gave his wife something, and then she died a few hours later, okay? So Disney right now is trying to have a widower's wrongful death lawsuit dismissed and set to arbitration because the man signed up for Disney Plus account several years ago. Okay, Jeffrey Piccolo. Okay, sued Disney Parks and Resort in February, months after his wife died. Okay, died after consumed food containing allergies at the restaurant in Disney World. Okay, he goes on to say that his complaint that he and his wife and his mother went to dinner at this Irish pub that's down in Disney Springs at the resort at Orlando, Florida. Okay, and they asked several times whether the allergies could be accommodated according to the complaint. Okay, despite the server having assured them that the server allergies restricted the and reaction and died in a local hospital. Okay, just a couple hours later. He's going out and Disney's filing a court document in May saying that $50,000. He's only suing for $50,000. Well, I'll tell you what, sir, you're going to get a lot more than $50,000. Okay, I would go to like $50 million. Okay, should be dismissed and resolved by individual arbitration because the terms of Piccolo agreed to when he signed up for a free trial of the streaming service of Disney Plus. The filing also says that he accepted the same terms when he used the Walt Disney Parks website to buy tickets. This is fucking insanity. Imagine that you bought or a free trial of Disney Plus. You get shot and killed on the property. Something happens to you on their property, and they connect it to, well, 4 years ago, you got that free trial from Verizon when you signed up for a new phone, and you hit OK, right? You hit OK. We have two extremes today. We have one person that backed out of OK by hitting escape key. This person got a free trial of Disney Plus. 4 years later, his wife dies, and he can't sue because he signed up for a fucking streaming service. We're living in a clown world, Sarge. We're living in a clown world. Okay, so lawyers.
You can keep going because if I start talking about this, I'm going to turn red in the face and have a heart attack.
Okay, lawyers for the company of fucking devil, right? Like, this is insanity. Okay, said that the user have to select checkboxes that hyperlink the terms of use, as well as another says that the agreed to terms users cannot select or agree and continue if the boxes are not checked. The filing says. The filing included a copy of his terms of condition and a section titled Disney Terms of Use says that any dispute between you and us, except for a small claims, is subject to a class action waiver and must be resolved by an individual binding. One having dinner at a restaurant 4 years later and a streaming service to hit OK? Where the fuck are these? These lawyers should be barred. They should lose their fucking license. Okay? Pay the goddamn man. His wife died, for fuck's sake, and he's asking for $50,000 and payment for lawyers, for fuck's sake.
But if he says no for $50,000, then you got to juice that up to $50 million now.
Okay,
you got to juice it up now.
And here's the best part: a Disney spokesperson for Disney told NBC News, "We're deeply saddened by this family's loss and understand the grief. Given that the restaurant is neither owned nor operated by Disney, we are merely defending ourselves against the plaintiff's attorney." Okay, now they are correct. The restaurant is on Disney Springs. Okay, Disney Springs owns the property. They died, okay, off of property, obviously, but they still died by ingesting the food that was given to them on their property. Okay, but to say, the audacity to say, well, that sounds better than.
But you signed up for Disney Plus.
You can't. You signed up for Disney Plus. You can't sue us. This is insanity. Okay, what do you think about this, Sarge? What do you think about this?
I don't want to think about this at all because it makes me so angry that you think this is going to hold up in court. This guy needs a better lawyer. They need to juice this up to $50 million and needs to be set a precedent immediately.
Yeah, if this goes through and if Disney wins. That means anything you signed up for. If you signed up for Bungie's EULA on the thing and something happens 10 years later, like, sorry, like, there's no consumer protection, right? This is a fucking streaming service that you got for free through a Verizon thing. And now 4 years later, your wife dies and they're like, sorry, can't sue us. You signed the EULA on Disney Plus. How's that Mando show for you? Like, what? What? Did you see it?
This is clown world, bro.
Did you see it? Did you read it?
This is clown world. I want to hear the follow up of this. I want to hear some lawyers come out, man. Somebody heard this. A lawyer's heard this and is now frantically calling this guy. I guarantee you, this guy's blowing up. His phone is blowing up. Like, you have to know that he's got to be a middle class guy because he only wants $50,000 probably to bury his wife and do the lawyer stuff.
Yeah.
He just wants to be done. He just wants to be done with it. But realizing what kind of precedent that would set is insane.
is insane. That a EULA from a Disney Plus fucking ad keeps you from suing Disney because your wife died on the premises.
The fact that the lawyer even brought the fucking Disney Plus contract up to protect Disney is insane. You could have said, like, there's a sign on Disney Springs that says walk at your own risk, right? Something. No, 4 years ago, they're like, what can we do? What can we do? I know. Does he have Disney Plus? Let's check it out. He does. He got a free version of it. That's it. That's our in. We're going to say that he signed up for Disney Plus and we're free. Good job, Jeeves.
I can't even. I'm getting a headache right now. I got to take some aspirin or something. I can't even listen to the actual article because it's so ludicrous that you would connect these two. That has anything to do with anything.
I'm pissed off, and I don't even know this person. Okay, if I was this person, I would be now I would be suing Disney. I'd be suing the restaurant. I'd be suing the real estate company that owns the fucking land. I would sue the fucking state. I would sue everybody across the line because these assholes came out and said, well, you got Disney Plus. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't even like suing people. Okay, I would make it my goal because my wife would be dead. Okay, I would take it to my grave. I would literally do nothing but try to fuck these people over for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but just think for a moment. Do you think Disney's the only one that has this kind of EULA?
No, everyone's right now rewriting their EULA. Everyone's rewriting. They're like,
everyone is.
Get that in there.
Everyone is.
Do you have a phone bill?
I would not be surprised if I get new EULAs coming up in my feed for all my games and shit. I guarantee it. Or my phone company, guarantee.
Like everybody. Video games, all the streaming services, everybody.
Yeah. Everybody would put that in.
Businesses that you walk through the door to go buy something, they're all changing. Well, you got a contract. Did you buy something here from Target 10 years ago? Well, you can't sue us if you trip and break an ankle, right? Everyone's changing it. This wins. Everyone's changing it. Anyway, I don't want to get. I should have made this earlier in the show. Yeah, I am so revved up right now. Okay. Fucking insanity. We live in a fucking clown world. Maybe is there one more story?
You can't finish it on that, bro.
Hey, is there one more story?
Hey, the world sucks. Have a good night, everybody. You can't end it like that.
All right, we'll go back to another story and then we'll end it because I gotta lower my blood pressure right now. Okay. This comes from PCGamer.com. Okay, it's that we have 2.5 is that billion or is that million? That's million. 2.5 million gigabytes of aerial data. So we stream why the cloud is the future of Microsoft Flight Sim and likely many more games to come. Okay. So game install sizes are the worst. Okay. A bit of dramatic, but I can't be the only one that groans for this when you see it. It says take God of War, for example, 190 gigs. 190 precision gigabytes for a single game. It's not even one of the worst offenders. Ark Survival, many headlines of 330 gigabytes install requirement. Okay, and with DLCs attached, some players report the total topping of 400 gigabytes. Microsoft 2020 isn't exactly light to install either, with the base game coming at 130 gigabytes and various world updates, bringing the total of 500 gigabytes just for my Flight Sim. Okay, the head of Microsoft Flight Sim, George says that he also will have a lot worse than that. He says, quote, we have 2.5 petabytes, which is 2.5 million gigabytes of aerial data. And obviously we can't install that. Okay. Can you imagine? Like, what games are you playing? Well, I have 10 PlayStations, Xboxes, X's just so I can and I have them all linked together just so I get the storage. Okay. So the same is true for the digital elevation of the map. He says it's also huge, and the stream that as well. So what do we do now? The stream bunch of measurements, almost all of them actually. So almost all of it is the cloud side. Streaming works great right now, so no problem there. But the client side gets thinner and thinner. So according to Newman, Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 is aiming for around 50 gigabytes install. Okay, thanks to the offloading even more data requirements to the cloud, and by pushing the larger assets off to streaming side of things. It's just the SSD space that you'll benefit. It says the real prize is when the development might be capable of when not all the data is installed on your local machines. He says, quote, we are more and more confident that you can offload more and more things if you look at your our data set. We're exploring if we launch a 40 airport or something. Now we have 180, and all of those are like 10 gigs, right? So basically what he's saying is now Microsoft's investing in the cloud, right? This is 2.5 petabytes of data.
So this game alone will cause the infrastructure of the cloud to become better, so it would help everybody else for other games because of Flight Sim.
Right. I would say that Flight Sim is the testing ground
for the cloud.
For the cloud, how much data they can push across and stuff like that,
yeah.
Right?
Yep, that's the catalyst. Yep.
Like, obviously, we're not going to get like 30 million people playing the thing.
Not yet.
Correct. But if they can show, and if they can get the actual gigabytes, because it's insanity, right? 500 gigabytes for a fucking game. Like, you could get 1.5 games on your thing if you play Call of Duty and Microsoft Flight Sim.
But not if you play from the cloud. Right?
Right. Now you go to the cloud, and they're beaming this. And we talked about this technology a couple weeks ago.
It's not like it doesn't exist. They're still working on it.
Right. I think this is pretty insane, though, to basically the game's going to be 50 gigs. That's what they say for the SSD. And then it says we launched with 40 airports or something. Now we have 180. And it's a total of 10 gigs.
So just for shits and giggles. By the way, I want you to talk. I want to finish on the Elden Ring lawsuit. I want to do that one.
The Elden Ring lawsuit. Oh,
yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
I didn't even bring that up. Yeah, we talked about this morning.
We got to do that one. Okay, so let's just talk about this briefly. Okay, so we're gonna go long tonight, guys. It's gonna go long. Okay, so I believe that they're using the Flight Sim to test this data transfer in the cloud, and I believe that we're gonna get to the point where you're gonna be able to play games like over 200 gigs just willy-nilly.
You are.
Like straight from the cloud.
Yeah.
No, I know that, but this is the testing ground.
Right, you're talking about mass. You're talking about mass. It's all games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine, now, here's the question for you. How much is Game Pass if I can play every game, not on my computer, through the cloud at 100 FPS? Everything.
I mean, as long as it runs smooth. Yeah, if it runs smooth.
Yeah. What's your price point on Game Pass then?
I mean, they could probably charge like 30, 35, maybe more.
Right.
But it would have to run.
No. We're not guessing. We're saying it runs.
Yeah. If it runs, I think they could. I think they could run $35, $40 a month.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's still cheaper.
So do you guys think for a moment that they're not working towards that?
Oh, absolutely working towards that.
That's how you have to think about these things. Like, well, we have cloud gaming, we have this stuff, but everyone says it sucks, but we're still working on it, guys. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't think like the end game is, bro, if we get games to run from the cloud at 100 FPS minimum, uncapped, like full graphics, like how much a month?
Just
how much can we get, Steve? I don't know, $60, $80 a month. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think we talked about the $900 console.
Yeah.
Right? $900 console. Yeah. Let's just say they bundled that. Let's say Xbox's next system is also $900.
Yep. They bundled it with the uncapped.
With the uncapped.
$100 a month.
Right.
$100 a month.
Uncapped. Like, you can go buy a computer right now. You can get a payment plan for like $50 a month, right?
Yep.
For the computer and all the power that comes with it. Okay.
Yep.
That would be the exact same thing. They give you a box that does no disk drive, right? Yep. It's $900, but you're not paying $900. Just what does that now? What does that now, right?
All of everything.
This is $1,000. It's like $1,200 for a phone, right? But you don't pay $1,200. You're paying a monthly fee, a monthly payment over the thing, and it does 5G, LTE, whatever the fuck it is. And now that could be the exact same thing, but now with that data that just keeps, who knows? Who knows? So you really want to talk about the Elden Ring insanity?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I don't have a thing to bring up, but
absolutely. Well, the man is talking about a parallel universe inside the game.
So wait, well, let me. So we watched the video with Asmongold this morning. He was reacting, and the person's video he was watching was there's a person doing a lawsuit against Elden Ring because the guy thinks that they're locking content. They're making it hard on purpose, and locking content behind the difficulty that he can't get to. Okay.
Right.
But then it goes deeper.
But that's one part.
Yeah. Then it goes
Right.
deeper because he thinks that there's a game within the game that they're hiding from him that no one has seen. Okay. And like there's no proof of this because obviously there's data miners, there's people that find things all the time.
All the time.
They found thing in the game that's not in the game, but they found it because of data mining. But this guy thinks that he's suing them. And mind you, I think he's suing them more than the guy is suing Disney for his dead wife.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because he thinks that there's a multiverse of a game underneath the game that you're playing, but nobody knows about it. And this is a lawsuit that's also real. Go ahead.
First of all, let's discuss the word crazy and and how that a man back in the 80s called Ronald Reagan had closed down all the sanitariums because they believed that it was cruel and unusual punishment because of one guy getting mistreated in a sanitarium. So they thought that it was inhumane. And so they got rid of all the sanitariums. And I know that doesn't seem like an issue part of this court case, but let's just say this is what happens when you have no place to put crazy people. And I use the word crazy loosely because I know it's not a medical term, but then again, I'm not a doctor. So there's a bunch of crazy people living in the world now that have no place to go. So we just keep them in society and they get to wander around with the rest of us. And lo and behold, they're going to run into each other and eventually have children. And so now you have two crazy people having another crazy person. And so now after decades, and it's been decades, kids, of no place to put crazy people, they're living homeless on the streets, creating other people like themselves. And now we end up with a lawsuit, which is now being, I want this to be televised. So I have a chubby right now. I want you to understand that I want this court case to be televised so badly. Like I want to be able to watch it. I want somebody to televise this. I want to see this guy and a lawyer. I don't know, maybe he'll do it himself to defend the fact that there's a multiverse inside a video game.
Inside the video game.
That he's being held from and charged for, and I want them to prove it in a court of law with a jury. Yeah. I want to see it so badly. You have no.
It's like that. It's like that meme where the guy.
Would be the right. The only thing. Listen. The only thing that would top this is the public execution of a Kardashian. Like that's the only thing that could beat this live on TV. Like this would be insanity, absolute insanity. That this guy would go to court for this. I want to watch it.
The fact that he would have to sit there and be like, jury, judge, I want to tell you that Elden Ring, right here, this is the game, and within this game, there's another game. There's another game below this game.
He would do like the Back to the Future stuff. He'd be like drawing on a whiteboard, talking about like
it's that meme where the guy's in front of a board and he's like,
the level of nuttiness in this. The level of nuttiness for this is biblical. I want to see this. You have no idea how badly I want to see this court case.
This would be amazing to watch because I would love to see how he describes. Because there is, if you played Elden Ring, there is a level below the level, but you could actually go there.
Yeah,
you can actually go there. There's no hidden level underneath the game.
But the fact that you think that nobody currently has figured out where that is hiding inside the game code, like inside the game.
No, bro.
Like you don't think anybody's found it yet. Like it's the amount of data miners that we have, the amount of guys who are bored on a Wednesday, you've got nothing else better to do but to hack up a game in their spare time. Like you think nobody's found it? That this other world's living inside the game?
I said, I hope FromSoft does this. I said, during the court case, it gets finished, right? And then while they're working on the court case for this, FromSoft is literally making code where there's an underground world. After the fact, the court case is in, and then people find it, and then it's a 100% troll. Like FromSoft puts it in the game after the court case is done, just so the guy's like, see, I knew it. They finally found it. It's the hidden world beneath the world. That would be fucking great. Okay, it's amazing. It's amazing how people think that there's something there when there. I give the example of Destiny. Destiny 1, right? People found out that the Dark Below was in the game before Dark Below even came into the game, right? It was literally 10 days, less. I think it was less than 10 days that someone found the Dark Below DLC within the thing, and there was conversations of Bungie's locking content behind the paywalls. It's already in the game. They want.
I remember all that.
All of this.
I remember all that.
Okay, they found that within days. This dude thinks that the game's been out for 2 years and no one's found it. It just exists. He knows about it, but nobody else knows about this. Okay, it's absolutely phenomenal. That I'm telling you, the world. What a great time to be alive. What a great, for comedy purposes alone. Comedy's dead, but comedy's there every day. You just have to laugh about it.
I will be following all the lawyer channels, and I want someone to pick this up. I want to make sure that I don't miss out on this guy actually going to court. What would be even more strange, and hear me out on this one, what would be even more strange, that would put a conspiracy theory out in the open, is if before it goes to court, if it does go to court, that they settle with him. like they actually give him a certain amount of money just to go away. We're going to settle this right now. Don't worry about it. Okay.
No, they would make him go away. People were looking for this now. There's people that think the world's flat, Sarge. There's definitely people going to go try to find the hidden game between the games in the multiverse.
Well, physics and airline schedules pretty much clear up the flat Earth theory. So I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so yeah, airline schedules and plain old physics will disprove the flat Earth theory in about 10 minutes. So we don't even have to go there, bro. Right? But this one's got flat Earthers beat by a mile. This guy thinks it's an Inception game inside the game.
Yeah.
Like this, I can't wait to hear this, man. Can't wait.
Those of you that don't know this, there's a podcast within this podcast that you have to find.
Yep.
But you can only find it if you listen to 405 episodes before this. Okay? Just saying. There's Easter eggs all over the place. You just can't find them. Okay? But I'll let you guys
that no hacker has ever found.
No person, because no one really watches us anyway. So it's gonna be.
I'm talking about Elden Ring. I'm talking about the hackers for Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Like nobody's found it yet.
So that's going to do it for us over here on Generation X Gaming.
I feel better. I feel better ending it like that.
I feel much better now from
Disney thing is leaving a pit in my stomach. I want to call the guy and just say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like it makes me so ridiculous.
Yeah. Just some heads up. I will not be on Reforge's podcast tomorrow. I got to do something tomorrow, so I will not be on the podcast tomorrow. So I'll be back on Monday to do our morning show. Appreciate you guys coming out. Generation X Gaming, a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. Episode 406 is in the can. We do appreciate you very much. Make sure you hit that like button down below if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching this after the fact and you made it through, what are we at? 2 hours and 41 minutes. We do appreciate you very much. Go check out some of our other videos. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm. You can also watch us on Spotify as well. If you guys like listening to podcasts, go over to Spotify. Go listen to it over there. Go watch it. Give a review. Give thumbs up. Whatever the fuck is over there on Spotify, because we're trying to get monetized over there, and we're so close. Okay, we're so close, but they changed the rules. Right? They changed the rule. I wasn't waving. It was whatever.
This is the Queen thing. This is something else.
Yeah, but this is what they do in the Olympics. In the Olympics, they all do this. Right? So if you like it, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We're here every single Thursday, or most times on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We do appreciate you very much. You guys have a great rest of your night, evening, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Game on, guys.
They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.